What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was cursed to remove every girl's fantasy about him? Night after night. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. A different face stared back at her in the mirror now, even though nothing had changed. She had changed. He had grown, both mentally and physically, over the years pertaining to her betraying Konohagakure. And him. Nah. She shook her head vehemently. And no. I won't think about him anymore. Of course, she was still herself, but over the years, her hair grew a lot. It reached down to her knees and was very straight. Now she had a C-cup for her size. It was quite annoying how they bounced with each step she made. She still didn't even want to imagine how it felt like when she was running. Her legs were long and smooth, she had a thin waist but strong hips. Her bum looked so much bigger now, before she had small butt and very flat-chested. Not so now. She put her hair up in high ponytail, her bangs were framing her feminine face. Her eyes reflect pools of ice. There is no way she'll put up makeup, even though she had learned quite a lot from Sakura from 8 hours of shopping. Women are crazy when it comes to shopping. She shuddered at the thought of shopping again with Karen. She had quite enough clothing already. Yet another reason she was glad to have left Konohagakure. Pulling the plug, the water soon was gone, and adjusting the faucet to shower. Soon she was welcomed with nice warm water that poured down on her lithe body. Washing her hair took a lot of time. She liked it very clean and short, but when she wanted to cut it off, Sakura had punched her in the head, yelling at her for even thinking of cutting. So she grew it out, even after she left. She could get used to it. She's an Uchiha, and of course she can do it. There is no way she could not do it. As soon as she was done with her hair, she turned off the shower, got out and reached for her smaller towel, which was dark blue. She bent down from the waist, her hair fall into the tub. She put the towel on her head and twisted it around her hair. Straightening up, she stuck the end of the towel in at her nape. Reaching for the bigger towel, which had a huge Uchiha clan symbol on it, she put it around her body and started to dry off. When she was done, she looked at the panty and bra she took. Most of them were lace, but she convinced herself to get a few non-lace ones. It was hard to find something that he liked, as in colors and style. This was one of that had been chosen. She did not like pink at all, but she could only find navy blue. Sighing, she settled for that, but then stiffened. No, blue was the color of his eyes. She had gone through great lengths to forget about him, and she'd be damned if she let herself all apart now. Stupid Dobie. Sasuke mumbled to herself while looking at the bra. It took a few minutes to get it on straight, and she felt so much better now that her boobs were not jiggling all over the place while walking. She jumped a bit and watched in the mirror as her boobs flew up and then down as she was standing on the floor again. Grabbing her panty, she put it on and she looked at herself through the mirror where she could see everything. Not bad, mumbling again. She kinda liked this bra and panty, even if it was pink. Jumping in the air again, she watched her boobs with narrowed eyes. Holding her boobs in each palm, she laughed a bit to herself. Considering that the old hag Hokage has huge boobs, she probably uses them as weapons against people. Just turn to the side sharply and bam. Knock out the enemy. Laughing at her stupidity, she shook her head and took them off. Putting on her usually pajamas, t-shirt and boxer shorts, she went to her room. Turning off all the lights, she slowly made her way to her bed and got in. Finding a comfortable position to sleep in was hard, but soon she found it. She was about to fall asleep when she felt a bump on her head. Then the headache came back again. Please, don't tell me. Groaning in agony, she walked into the bathroom and turned on the lights. When she found nothing wrong, she walked back out and saw the date on the calendar. Mild annoyance tweaked her brow. Crap, how could I forget? That mission was tomorrow? Nothing she could do about it now. Might as well sleep on it. With a sigh, she tossed herself back on the pillows of her bed, content to sleep before Orochimaru-sama woke her for training. But just as she hit the bed, just as her eyes began to drift shut, someone knocked on the door. With a groan, she sat up. Who is it? Judging by how silently they knocked, she knew it to be Kabuto. Quickly, she pulled on a dark purple robe. No way in hell was she letting him peek. Enter. The door creaked open, and the right-hand man to the snake Sanin poked his head in. Orochimaru-sama wishes to speak with you. I do not wish to be spoken to. It is about. A kunai nearly struck the medic between his eyes. Had he not ducked back behind the door, Kabuto would most certainly be dead by now. Tell him I already know about the mission. She all but hissed, in no mood for pleasantries. It is not about the mission. He dare not expose his face again. Must be that time of the month. Mildly intrigued, she did not throw another kunai, although the knife was still in her left hand. Then what does that bastard want? A small smirk touched Kabuto's face as he pushed the glasses up on his face. You mean you don't already know? Know what? His next words made the very blood in her veins ice over. Uzumaki-kun is on his way here. Her eyes tripled, and one hand flew to her mouth, allowing the robe to slip slightly, exposing her left shoulder. No, Kabuto chuckled. That's right, he and his team should be here by tomorrow. He then made the crucial mistake of putting one foot in the door. Most unwise. Crunch. The sound of bones breaking echoed through the dimly lit corridors and into the lavish room. Sasuke had just stabbed him in the foot with her katana. Out, she shrieked. A.N. Hey, this chappie was written by AvalonNakamura. We might be co-writing this FIC together. Hope y'all like our work. After flinging Kabuto out of her room and making it absolutely clear that if he entered her room again, he would have to find a way to heal his crotch after she would Chidori it. She slammed her door and stormed over to her bed only to grab her big pillow and hug it tightly to her ample chest. Her eyes were wet with tears as she thought about the last time she had saw Naruto. She still remembered the feel of his blood all over her hand. You stupid doby. I told you not to come after me. I told you to forget about me. But that was a foolish request on her part and she knew it. Naruto never went back on his word. He wouldn't give up on her until he brought her back. That was his ninja way. Her coal-black eyes glinted darkly as she remembered the fight at the Valley of the End. She could hardly believe how strong he was. She nearly lost twice during that fight. But in the end it was a draw. Naruto wasn't trying to kill her. He only wanted to prove her wrong. She told him he would never even be able to scratch her headband. But he did. He could have easily killed her, but he held back. For that reason she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Gratefulness. She was grateful to him. She stood over him as he lay there unconscious. She watched him for a few minutes before placing her headband in his hand and a small kiss on his forehead. She then walked off to where she knew Orochimaru was. The man who promised her the power she needed to kill her sister. She growled as she held the pillow tighter. Why? Why does Naruto have to be coming here? I can't take this. First Orochimaru makes a pass at me this morning. Then I find out Itachi Nichan is sleeping with the leader of the Akatsuki like the slut she is. And now, Kabuto had the gall to open my door without knocking. She threw the pillow hard against the wall, then stood up and paced about the room for a bit. When that didn't soothe her ragged nerves, she looked at the practice dummy in the corner. Growling under her breath, she glared at it, and slid it nearly down the middle with her katana, the move causing her chest to bounce, but she didn't care right now. She had the sword straight through where the heart would be. However, she suddenly pictured Naruto as the one she had impaled. With a shriek, she tossed the sword away. Baka. Naruto no baka. She stormed over to her bed only after making sure the door to her room was locked. She put 4 extra locks on it this time to prevent any of the perverts from sneaking in and doing something to her while she slept. Only 3 people had the key to her room. Herself, and 2 friends. She shrieked as Orochimaru and Kabuto both started laughing. Wisely they disappeared as her body was covered in an electric field. The outrush of emotions happened and she let the energy go. And that was what blew the roof off. She was panting as she stood outside on the ledge of the hole looking in on the ground. Damn it, perverts. Every friggin' guy is a pervert. Amidst her angry ranting, it was then that the door busted open and a certain pink-haired ninja rushed in and looked around. Sasuke smirked, despite her rage. Well, Sakura. Upon uttering those words, Sakura froze and turned to stare at the person on the edge of the hole. Her eyes widened as she looked at the person. As she stared, the one Sasuke dreaded seeing again ran in. Sakura-chan, are you alright? It was him, the blonde-haired idiot. The one that made her blood boil and her loins ache. The one who wouldn't give up on her. Here he was, and boy was time good to him. Well, it was good to both him and Sakura. She stared at the boy as he turned his eyes to look at her. Damn, he really grew up. It has been a while, she uttered looking at him. Naruto tilted his head to one side, as he looked at the beautiful girl and had no idea what she meant. I don't know you. What do you mean it has been a while? He shook it off and clenched a fist at her. Never mind that. Where the hell is Sasuke? Her eyebrow twitched as he said this, her rage starting to rise. How dare you not remember her? You Dobi, how dare you? She began going through a set of familiar seals. Chidori. As she said the jutsu's name, the lightning started to crackle around her, whipping her hair around violently. The wild energy danced away from her palm, cutting swaths in the stone, leaving rich gashes in the rock. The sound of 1,000 birds chirping rang through the air. A trio of black tomo now reflected in each of her ruby-red eyes. Now do you realize who I am? She shouted towards them. Wait, Sasuke? Sakura said that as she went wide-eyed, her mind confused. Naruto could not believe it. He jabbed a finger at the lovely beauty before. Hey. No way. Since when were you a girl, Sasuke? I have always been a girl, you blind dobi. At least Sakura knew that. Sasuke-kun. I didn't know you were a girl. Yeah, let alone a hot one. Added Naruto, jaw agape. As Naruto said that, Sasuke's face turned bright red. You bastard. She then proceeded to let the Chidori dissipate as she then moved quickly to end up standing next to Naruto. Her arm was resting around his neck as she faced the one wall, her left arm around his neck. Why did you come after me? You should be training to become Hokage, not chasing me. Naruto closed his eyes as he heard those words. If I can't save my best friend, I don't deserve to be Hokage. Don't you think, Sasu-chan? Hearing that endearment come from him made her heart flutter. She didn't want to do this. I am sorry, Naruto, but last time I spared your life on a whim. She proceeded to draw her sword and hold it up. This time, I will end your life on a whim. Goodbye, Naruto. She brought the sword down in a stabbing motion. Blood sprayed through the air. Number 2. Well guys, here it is. I decided to leave it on this cliffhanger to let Neon pick it up and run with it. Leave a review and let me and him know what y'all think of it. Take care guys. And also, if you hate what Kishimoto is doing with the manga, leave us know in your reviews. Much love everyone. Ends. Go to Female Sasuke by Tilda Verte on DeviantArt for a picture on what female Shippuden Sasuke looks like. AvalonNakamura helped to write this chappy. Credit has been given. The rain fell down sadly. It reminded her what she had just done. The tears she just shed. She looked at them and cried. She couldn't believe it, she had become her Nei-chan. She stood there staring at her hands covered in blood. Their blood, the ones she loved. She looked up from her hands and screamed lightly. They were both laying there, hurt badly. Naruto was covered in blood and gashes all over his body. She then moved her eyes up and her blood ran colder still. There lay Sakura, her pink hair stained red with blood as a sword was embedded in her chest. Her blood pooling around her body. No, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to become Itachi. She collapsed to her knees as a dark laughing could be heard. It echoed loudly in the entire black room. Her now crimson eyes with Tomo circling them, snapped open. Who's there? The laughing echoed some more and 3 things appeared in front of the bloodied bodies of Naruto and Sakura. She recognized them immediately. They were Orochimaru, Uchiha Itachi, and the last was more of a large face than something else. It was the giant face and facade of Kyuubi. Isn't this what you wanted? Your bonds shattered? This was boomed by the fox. Sasuke knew now this couldn't be real. She knew the Kyuubi must have pulled her into the dream world during the battle with Naruto. She remembered now. They were fighting at the lair. And now she stabbed Naruto and now was here. Go to hell, you fucking fox. The fox laughed demonically as Itachi raised her manicured hand towards Sasuke and smirked. You said you hated me. You despised what I was. Then why? Why have you become me, Sasuke? Sasuke went wide-eyed and started to shake uncontrollably. Orochimaru began to chuckle lightly. Ku, Sasuke-chan. You're just like your sister. You will do well. Come to me. Follow your heart. This is what you want. Kill them, and then come to me. I will give you the power to kill you, sister. Sasuke continued to shake as Orochimaru began to walk up to her, extending his hand to touch the shivering girl. Now, Sasuke, be a good girl, and come to me. As his hand reached the girl, a kunai whizzed past his palm. Like the snake he was, he hissed and drew back. For standing there, his eyes still bright blue, was Naruto. "You bastards, what do you think you're doing, you fox Teme?" Laughing darkly, the images of Orochimaru and Itachi transformed into the fox's paws as it stands there glaring at Naruto. "Damn Kit, why are you interfering? Because of you, you stupid fox bastard. You're doing this on purpose. You used me to try and destroy Sasuke's mind." Laughing now, the fox smirked and then made the fakes of Naruto and Sakura disappear. "Damn right Kit, you couldn't bring yourself to harm her. So I decided to get involved." Glaring darkly at the fox, Naruto moved over to the still shivering and shaking girl. Sasuke, grabbing her shoulders and spinning her to face him. Naruto stared deep into the still crimson eyes of the Uchiha girl. "Sasuke, Naruto?" Her voice was quivering, her mind screaming at her that she killed him. "Damn it Sasuke, snap out of it, the damn fox is trying to rape your mind." Hearing that one word alone brought a hatred into the dark-haired girl's eyes as she looked from Naruto to the fox. "He what?" Naruto smirked, seeing the rage in the girl's eyes as she stood and brushed off the hands of Naruto. "Yeah Sasuke. This stupid fox bastard is interfering in the fight again." Sasuke glared at the fox, her eyes full of hate. "What malice? I haven't seen such malice or rage in years. Your eyes are the same as his." Narrowing her own eyes, Sasuke glared at the fox. She moved towards it and held up a hand. "Naruto. I thought I killed you. And Sakura. I'm sorry, this thing used us both. It seems to want to hurt us both right now." Laughing darkly, the Kyuubi beheld the female in front of him. "You are a brave woman. You Uchiha always were stupidly brave. I may reside and live inside Naruto. But I will interfere should someone try to kill the kid." His anger makes him want to kill. "It was his anger that allowed me to use it against you. Baka Yuru, I never asked you to do this to Sasuke. I should come in your cage and castrate you." Laying, the fox started to bubble, as it turned its eyes towards Naruto and then back to Sasuke. "He was a fool to not realize you were female." A sinister chuckle. "I could smell your hormones for years." At this, Sasuke grabbed the fox's muzzle and squeezed, letting the fox disintegrate into thousands of bubbles. A crimson flush on her cheeks, she lowered her head. "Shut up you stupid fox." Standing there, Naruto walked up to Sasuke and lightly placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. She stiffened and relaxed a bit as she turned her head to look back at him. "You never knew that I was a girl?" Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. "No, I'm sorry. I didn't. If I did know, I wouldn't have ignored you. I would have watched you even closer. I thought you were so angry to me 'cause I was a threat to your manhood or something, so I became a to you." He looked down to the wet ground in his mindscape and then sighed as he looked back up at Sasuke, his eyes sad. "All I wanted, Sasuke, was your friendship and your kindness. I did everything I could to get you to smile at me. Even if it was me being stupid, to draw yours and Sakura's attention. You said during the fight 3 years ago that I didn't understand. You were right. I didn't then, but I do now. I tried to help you and tried to show you that you had someone, even if it was me." As Naruto started to open himself to Sasuke in his mindscape, he felt easier doing this here rather than in the real world. "I only wanted love, Sasuke. You at least had one thing I never did. You had a family at one point. You had a mother and father to love you. I didn't. I had hatred from the village constantly. And even after I overcame that and became a shinobi, the hatred didn't stop. The teammates I had despised me as much as the villagers." He sighed as he lowered his head. "We never hated you, Naruto. Sakura and I many times discussed you. How you were growing and getting stronger. Then I got jealous. Watching you become strong, it made me feel weak. I couldn't face my sister and beat her if you were so much stronger than me." She muttered this as her Sharingan deactivated. She locked eyes with the blonde troublemaker and he scratched the back of his head. "Sasuke. My whole life I spent doing one thing. Chasing the person I admired. I wanted you to acknowledge me. So I trained harder and harder. I learned the Rasengan to counter your Chidori. I only wanted to be your equal. To me, Sasu-chan, you were one of the first bonds I ever had. And then Orochimaru stole that from me when he tricked you." At this, another set of footsteps could be heard as the pink-haired Medinin walked into the damp area, her green eyes confused till she saw them both. "Sasuke. Naruto. Where the hell are we?" Naruto seemed confused for a second. Saw Sakura? Damn it. You know about what is inside me, right? The medic nodded as she moved to stand near them both. The Kyuubi no Yuko, right? Yeah, the furry bastard decided to pull you and Sasuke into my mindscape, it seems. Probably his way of giving us the chance to talk after all these years. At this, Sasuke looked at how Naruto and Sakura both grew. She could see Naruto grew handsome, and it was also plain to see Sakura was a beauty in her own right. Now able to fully compare to her own looks, but close. You both came after me, why? As Sasuke asked this, she looked at the two, her own coal-black eyes curious as she looked at her former teammates. Naruto grinned as he placed his hands behind his head. You really need an answer for that, Sasuke? It's simple, really. Sakura said this as she looked at Naruto and then to Sasuke. When you left the village, Sasuke, Naruto and I were devastated. We started training ourselves into the ground cause we weren't good enough to bring you home. When Naruto came home from his training trip with Jiraiya-san, we made a pledge to each other. We would bring the one we loved home. The one we lost we would bring home. Sasuke turned a bright scarlet hearing that from Sakura, and she looked back and forth between them. You two loved me? Not loved, Sasu-chan. Love. We still do. Back then when I thought you were a guy, you were a brother to me. And someone I could look up to. And to Sakura you were the perfect boyfriend. Now that we know you're a girl. A sheepish chuckle. It doesn't feel that weird to me that I love you. Sakura nodded a bit. She understood now why Sasuke shot down all her attempts prior. She never wanted another girl, though Sakura's love still remained for her. It felt a bit weird to Sakura until it clicked. Sasuke-chan. We're a three-man team. We share everything. Love, hate, disgust. Kakashi-sensei taught us that. That means one thing. She looked at Naruto and then at Sasuke and did the one thing she had been wanting to do for a long time. She grabbed both of them and hugged them tightly. I lost you both once. Orochimaru took you, Sasuke-chan, and Naruto left for 3 years. I was alone. It hurt so bad. I don't want to lose either of you again. Even if it means knowing that Sasuke is a girl and wants nothing like a relationship. I'm happy having both of you back. Sasuke blushed as her ample chest mashed against both Sakura's large eyes and Naruto's muscled chest. She looked like a deer caught in a fire jutsu as she looked at Naruto, only to see a smile of kindness on his face. The same carefree happiness and kindness she saw before. She slowly relaxed and gently raised her own arms and wraps on around Sakura and the other around Naruto. The spurred a response from the Dobi. Hey, you know something? Having two very cute girls as my teammates sounds like a nice idea. A grown now. Though, neither of you would consider me for a date. At this phrase, Sasuke actually slapped Naruto hard. Baka, you don't realize it, do you? She asked this while Naruto held his throbbing cheek. Right now. Sakura just confessed. She loves us both, and damn it. That's why I ran from you, Naruto. I fell in love with you back then. But you never would want an avenger like me as anything. She all but yelled this part, tears hot in her eyes. Naruto merely smiled and stood as Sakura stood next to Sasuke, her own emotion spinning. I knew, Sasuke. I knew from the fact you couldn't kill me. You felt something. A sheepish shrug again. But, I didn't know it was love. You want to know something, Sasuke? You're wrong. I did consider the fact, after our accidental kiss in the academy, about dating you. You're a good kisser. Sasuke blushed a deep cherry flush. Naruto laughed lightly and moved over to both of them. The thing is, Sasuke. Sakura. I wouldn't hurt either of you, so I'm not going to ever choose between you two. He let those words hang in the air for a second before he dared to continue. Let me ask this. I found out my mother was a famous ninja. I am the last of at least one clan. If I asked you both to stay with me and be with me, would you agree or would you hate me forever? At this, Sasuke turned bright pink at the thought of sharing Naruto with Sakura. It could be worse. Sure, she was greedy and wanted him all to herself, but knowing Naruto's heart, he had enough love for them both. And Sasuke knew also she had to revive her clan. And Naruto would be reviving his, so it sounded like a win-win situation to her. Don't mind. The pinkette said as she turned the same color as her hair. I love you both. I don't want to lose either of you, even if it means I have to share you. Sasuke looked at her as she said this. Sakura was willing to take the chance. And she knew this would be the last one she ever got. After taking a deep breath, she finally spoke. I'll do it. I can share. I don't want to lose you guys again. It hurt so badly thinking I killed you both. I don't want to hurt you guys. All I can give you is my soul and heart. And ask. You be patient with me. It'll take a while before I get comfortable with any form of displays of affection. Naruto smiled and moved over to the two girls and quickly summoned two cage bushins. Hehehe. Uzumaki Naruto group hug jutsu. At this both girls squeaked as they were group hugged by three Narutos. Sasuke. Sakura. I promise, on my Nindo, I will make you both happy. I will become Hokage and make the Haruno and Uchiha clan strong again. He smiled as the other two clones poofed out of existence. Dobi. I don't care if I am powerful. I have what I have been hunting for now. Acceptance and genuine love. Sasuke spoke this as Sakura just silently cried happily. She had them both. She got them back, finally the two she lost all those years ago. Their hearts were back. She had the two she loved back again and she thanked Kami for it. Naruto now took a look around and gulped. Let's say, we get out of the damp wet place. Before that furball decides to say something stupid to me like, mate with them both kit. And I am forced to go castrate him with a rusty kunai. At this Sasuke and Sakura turned bright pink and pictured the mating till they remembered the fox would watch if anything like that happened here. So they agreed. As daylight broke through to their eyes as they woke up from being sent to Naruto's mindscape they groaned and sat up and looked at each other. Well, that was interesting. Naruto muttered before slowly standing and helping the two girls up. Yeah, I didn't think the fox would use mind genjutsu on Sasuke and keep us all asleep. Sasuke smiled lightly and picked up her sword, sliding the steel back into its sheath. She then turned to face Naruto and Sakura, whilst the two waited to see just what the Uchiha girl would do. After a heavy sigh, she finally spoke. Let's go home. Orochimaru is a pervert anyway. I would rather deal with Naruto's perversion. We just need to pick up the team I had here. I won't let the bastard hurt them. Naruto smirked and held his hand out to Sasuke, his blue eyes sparkling. Let's go. Home, Sasuke-chan. Your team will be welcome there. Tsunade Obachan will see to that. Sasuke smiled and took his hand. Yeah, let's go. As Naruto and Sakura followed behind Sasuke, she turned towards the pinkette and the hyperactive blonde. She then sighed and smiled lightly before stopping and pointing towards a boulder. My team should be hiding under there. Nodding lightly, Sakura proceeded to head over to the boulder and lightly feel the rock. She narrowed her eyes lightly as she turned to the brunette and the blonde. There is a high-level barrier right under the rock. I can easily break the rock. But after that you will have to immediately let whoever is under there know we are allies, Sasuke-chan. She wasn't quite used to using that honorific with Sasuke, but she had to admit she was ecstatic they had Uchiha Sasuke back. The one that both her and Naruto spent the better part of 3 years working on getting stronger to bring back. Right, if I know Kin-chan and Tayuya-chan. They will be expecting you two to be dead. This is gonna be interesting. Nodding lightly, Sakura proceeded to crack her knuckles. She then looked towards Sasuke and Naruto, who both looked ready to move the instant the rock is shattered. She then rushed towards the rock and slammed her fist hard into the rock, shattering the rock into pebbles in a second. She soon jumped back from the rock. As soon as she landed behind Sasuke and Naruto, a blur of white and a blur of broke shot out from under the rock and barrier to stand about 20 yards away from them. As Kin and Tayuya both stared in awe and disbelief. What the fuck? Sasu-chan? What are you doing? Sasuke-chan, why are you not fighting the Konoha shinobi? Sasuke looked eyes with Tayuya and Kin. Her eyes spoke volumes to the other girls. As she started to walk towards the two of them. It is simple. I have decided. That the pedophiliac snake bastard and that white-haired necrophiliac. We're going to harm me and you. I have decided to recast my allegiance with Konohagakure. And I want my two friends from here. The only things that I ever had worthwhile in these hellish lairs. With me. I want you to come with me. As she spoke this, the redhead and the brunette went wide-eyed. Sasuke turned on Orochimaru? She was choosing to leave him and rejoin Konoha? Tayuya was beside herself. This made no sense to her at all. What the fuck? What do you mean? You're recasting your allegiance. You can't just leave Orochimaru. He can kill us like we are bugs. Are you fucking insane? Narrowing her eyes towards her red-headed friend Sasuke quickly moved to stand right next to Tayuya in the blink of an eye. Her hand was on her shoulder as she lightly squeezed it in reassurance. Tayuya-chan, do you trust me? What? Of course I do. If it wasn't for you Sasu-chan, Orochimaru would have killed me and Kin already. Yeah. You saved us Sasuke-chan. You stopped him from turning me into a sacrifice, and you kept him from sending Tayuya on the suicide mission against Konoha during the Leaf invasion. Nodding lightly, Sasuke turned and started to slowly walk towards Naruto and Sakura. Her hair bouncing lightly with each step. Kin. Tayuya. I found a home for us. A home where a strong man who will become Hokage will protect us. A home where a pinkette will love us as sisters and heal us and be there for us. A place where we won't ever have to run again. A place of acceptance. Going wide-eyed at those words, Kin and Tayuya shared a look as Sasuke continued to speak. Relief started to cross both of the girls' faces, as Naruto and Sakura smiled as Sasuke spoke. Oi, you are called Kin and Tayuya, right? Naruto hollered out as he nodded towards the girls, who both jumped lightly and turned their attention towards him. It wasn't befitting a kunoichi to lower their guard around a prospective enemy even with the leader of their team was relaxed. Soon though both nodded towards him. I am Uzumaki Naruto. I am the one who Sasu-chan spoke of about the man who will become Hokage. I do not know if my words would mean anything to you. But the woman who has come to see me as a grandson is the present Hokage. And as the master of Sakura-chan here, we can offer you both immunity. And even a position in the shinobi of Konoha. Sasu-chan knows by returning she faces charges of treason. But Tsunade Obaa-chan has already removed them. Under the guise that Sasuke was under a genjutsu. We can offer you a home. And like Sasu-chan said, I don't mind have new friends. To protect, that is if you will let me. And I know Sakura would be a good friend too, nay, Sakura? Smiling, the pinkette nodded gently towards the two girls as she started to move towards Sasuke, her eyes soft as her heads let out a gently green glow showing she was a Medinin. A Medinin? Kin was surprised seeing the sea green healing chakra. Tayuya-chan, I see Kin. I trust Sasuke-chan, but Uzumaki Naruto. Jumping lightly at the shout of his voice, even Sasuke went wide-eyed. She knew that tone of voice from Tayuya. She knew it was coming and hated it. Hi? Tayuya of the Sound 4 and Tsuchi-kin, a special Jonin of the Sound, will come with you to Konoha and even side with Konoha. At that she took out her kunai and slashed the large purple rope off of her waist, cutting her ties with Otto. But I want a fucking guarantee. If your little blonde ever hurts Sasuke, or us, you swear on your nindo that you will allow us to punish you. If that agreeable, blondie? Narrowing his eyes at Tayuya's wording, he sighed and then took out a kunai, causing Sasuke to tense as well as Kin and Tayuya. I swear on my nindo, and on my blood. Slashing his hand, he allowed his blood to drip onto the ground, holding his hand out. Letting the blonde drip, I will do everything in my power to protect all of you. And I will swear to never hurt Sasu-chan, Sakura-chan, Tayuya-chan or Kin-chan. I give you my word. At the term of endearment from the blonde nutball, Tayuya smiled and then nodded as Kin pulled out a kunai and slashed the headband she was wearing and threw the kunai back into her weapon pouch. Naruto-kun? I agree with Tayuya-chan and Sasuke-chan, we will follow you. If you do hurt us, we will make you suffer. Chuckling lightly, Naruto scratched the back of his head, until a pounding in his head began. He grabbed his head and started to yell in pain. As Sakura and Sasuke rushed to his side, only to see his eyes have turned from their normal cerulean blue to the dangerous crimson red. He then roared as the red chakra started to pour out of him, taking the form of a large fox head. The fox's face started to laugh hard. Ha 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 ha. The kid is turning into quite the naughty little man whore. Look at what we have here. The scion of the Uchiha clan. The scion of the Haruno clan. The last remaining Tsuchi, and my. I never expected to see one of your kind anymore. What the fuck is that? Gasping in disbelief, Sasuke and Sakura were stunned at seeing at least in chakra form the face of the Kyuubi no Yuko. Dear God, why are you still interfering bake mono? As Sasuke screamed that, Tayuya and Kin moved to stand right behind her. Tayuya didn't know what the damn thing meant about her, but she wasn't gonna let it take her final chance away. Foo foo foo. Is the Uchiha mad? I simply wished to see his little whores. I told you. I see what he sees, and if you whores plan on using him, I will destroy you. As the Kyuubi spoke this, the voice of the great demon seemed to change, taking a higher pitch as it gazed at the women. Why are you calling us whores? You are a demon. Let me make it clear, Uchiha. At that, the head of the fox disappeared into a swirl of chakra and then reformed in front of the writhing boy. However, it was not the form of the fox's face anymore. Now it stood there in a human form, and a form which stunned both Sakura and Sasuke. The great Kyuubi no Yuko was a woman? Her hair was in twin ponytails reminiscent of Naruto's Oiroke no Jutsu. Her body was semi-covered in a very loose-fitting dark red kimono, and 9 bushy tails waving behind her. The most menacing part of her, however, were the dark whisker-like markings on her cheeks and her burning red eyes. Is it clear now, you pathetic little whore? I have been with the Gaki for 15 years. I have watched him suffer from you, and from the little pink tart over there, as well as by the hands of the villagers. I will not allow you whores to harm him. If that is your intent, I will kill you now. Staring down one of the most potent chakras in the world was incredibly tough for each one of the girls. It was hard to breathe, let alone stand, as they faced down what seemed to be certain death. They knew she could kill them in an instant, but Sakura had to ask anyway. Why? Are you female? This caught the powerful demon off guard as her killing intent dropped as she observed them, and then she smirked. Very well. It is simple. I was born female, and before you ask, I attacked Konoha. Cause of the smell of it. It reeked of the one who attacked me, and killed my baby. The one you call Orochimaru. Gasping lightly at that, they never expected that Orochimaru was responsible? He caused the Kyuubi to attack? He was the main cause of Naruto's suffering? Sasuke had to ask one thing. Kyuubi-sama? You claim you will kill us should we hurt him. You see him as your own child, don't you? At the respectful tone in Sasuke's voice, the Kyuubi nodded. Perhaps she was wrong. This Uchiha did not seem to want simply power or death like most of the others. Then if it means anything to you, I give you my word, as one of the last 2 Uchiha, I will love Naruto. I have loved him since we fought with Momochi Zabuza 4 years ago. He showed me what love truly is. And I love him. I give you my word. Narrowing her red eyes, the Kyuubi smirked lightly. And the others? If you swear to not harm him, I will leave you alone. On one condition. That you show the boy love, and allow him to kill that wretched snake. We do. As Sasuke said this, the Kyuubi laughed again, before Tayuya spoke up. Wait, you said you didn't expect to see my kind anymore. What do you mean? Smiling lightly, the Kyuubi moved towards Naruto before pointing to Tayuya. Your family were at one point in time part demon themselves. But I must go now, before the Gaki's mind decides to snap and I go into a rampage. And he does also. But before I go, those curse seals. You two wear. If that snake bastard uses them against you, call for me in the Gaki. I will help you then. But for now, rest. Camp here. The snake is gone for now. As she said that, the chakra dispersed, allowing Naruto to pass out into a deep sleep from chakra exhaustion. As Sasuke looked at Kin and Tayuya, they both nodded, and proceeded to help move Naruto into the hiding area they were in. Reactivating the barrier, they placed Naruto onto one of the nearby cots and sat down at the table. Well, as Sasuke began to say, Sakura placed her hand on Sasuke's, causing her to relax a bit and nod towards her. We will be safe here, Sakura, for now. Until we can leave for Konoha. Yeah. Let's get some fucking sleep though. It was a fucking mindfuck. I need sleep to think. Nodding, the Kunoichi began to slowly pick cots from the small room and lay down to rest. After all, they had a big discussion ahead of themselves tomorrow before they left. Groaning lightly as she was assaulted by the feeling of waking up, Tayuya slowly opened her eyes only to see Naruto was still out cold on his cot. The gentle rise and fall of his chest gave the knowledge that he was still alive. She turned her eyes to the others in the small little safe area. Seeing Sasuke spread out on her cot with the front of her kimono wide open, exposing the fact she was still wearing her fishnet top with barely a black strip concealing her assets, as well as the fact those bike shorts of hers left nothing to the imagination. Sometimes, I wonder if Sasu-chan is an exhibitionist. Grumbling, Tayuya sat up and looked at the others and felt a bit at peace. For some reason she didn't feel like they were gonna attack her. It was one thing she was happy for. Her life with the Sound 4 and at the snake bastards' lairs were horrible. She constantly had to fight to prove she was worthy to be there. She hated them. They hurt her countless times. She reached back and gently rubbed the back of her neck right on her curse seal. She was stupid sometimes for following Orochimaru. But he did give her one thing. She stood from her cot and moved over to Kin and smiled gently. She had someone who considered her an Oni-san. She was happy to know Kin looked up at her like that. And he also brought her Sasuke. The one person who also understood her. And now she doesn't have to run anymore. She did something she had not done in ages. She gently took out her flute and sat on the end of her cot and started to softly play a melody. As the notes began to play, it gently roused the only male in the room awake as the others continued to sleep. "That's quite the beautiful melody, Tayuya-chan," she gasped as she heard his voice. She realized with her musician ear his voice was quite gentle and nice when he wasn't yelling. He has a light baritone voice. But he caught her playing a song. Something only Sasuke and Kin caught her at before. Thanks Blondie. I guess it is alright to be heard. Normally I would pummel the living fuck out of anyone who heard me playing." Chuckling lightly at Tayuya's words, Naruto sat up on his cot and smiled lightly at her. He unzipped his jacket and sighed lightly. His black mesh shirt allowing his semi-scared torso to be seen. Tayuya's mouth went a bit dry at the sight of him. She had to admit she could see why Sasuke would fall for the blonde. "Well, I suppose I should thank you for not pummeling me then, Tayuya-chan. After all, my chakra is still recovering. I am only maybe halfway. Though I would have loved to spar with you. I doubt Sasu-chan or Sakura-chan would approve of me doing that yet." He then stood off the cot and groaned lightly as the bones in his back and legs popped and cracked. Tayuya went wide-eyed seeing him move even at half his chakra reserves. If that was true, he still had chakra to throw away. She could even feel it. "You're only at half? No fucking way. I can even sense your chakra from here. It feels like at least 1.5 times my chakra reserves." Chuckling lightly, Naruto took off his jacket completely and tossed it onto the cot, which made some color come to Tayuya's cheeks. As he removed the mesh shirt, her eyes tripled in size. She seen the scars clearly now. She understood now what the Kyuubi meant. His back was littered with gashes and stab wounds. And a strange circular scar over his right shoulder blade. Soon though another voice joined in. "Why didn't you let it heal that, Naru-kun?" Jumping lightly, Naruto turned to look at Sasuke, who has sat up and pulled her top closed. He knew she was referring to the wound she had given him at the Valley of the End. He gently placed his hand over it. Tayuya was surprised at Naruto's reaction to Sasuke's question. "It is simple, Sasu-chan. It was a reminder, and a memory." "But Naru-kun, I gave that one to you. The Kyuubi. You could have it completely healed. Why?" Smiling a bit sadly, he moved over and took Sasuke's hand and placed it over the scar. "It is one reason, Sasu-chan. It was the reminder I wasn't good enough. Nor strong enough to protect someone I love from darkness. I lost the person I considered the closest thing to family I ever had." Sasuke let tears start to fall from her eyes. As Tayuya stood and moved over to them and placed her hand on Sasuke's shoulder. She understood Naruto's reasons. She too had reasons to bear some of the scars she had. Jumping lightly, Sasuke and Naruto quickly locked eyes with her and she let a smile lightly come to her face. "Sasuke-chan. I understand why he kept it. It was a reminder to get stronger. To save you. And all of us from that snake bastard. It is not your fault for them. Is it, Naruto? It was Orochimaru who guided your hand. But you didn't listen to the bastard. You let him live." Nodding lightly, Naruto grinned brightly towards the redhead. "She's right, Sasu-chan. It was what pushed me to become stronger. To be able to save you from Orochimaru and to bring you home. I now have, thanks to this scar, more friends, more powers, and people who care for me. I have one of the people I love back. And I will never allow the fox to take the scar away." Letting some tears come to her eyes, Sasuke quickly hugged Naruto tightly, letting her tears soak his bare skin on her chest as Tayuya stepped back and smiled as she started to play again a gentle song that Sasuke remembered hearing her play before. As she gently relaxed hearing the music, as Sakura slowly woke up watching the scene before her, she knew what had happened and smiled gently. She knew Naruto bore that scar with honor and even berated her when she said she could use her medical ninjutsu to heal it. She gently sat up and chose to listen to the soft music. That song. Tayuya-chan. You're playing the song you wrote when I first met you. Heart's melody. I am impressed, Tayuya-chan. That song is beautiful. As Tayuya ended the song, she looked at Naruto as he spoke those words. Her cheeks turned a gentle pink. She nodded lightly as she put away her flute. It was a song, Blondie. I wrote it when I acutely happy. I had friends. I had sisters in Kin and Sasuke. I had spent many times being beaten and harmed by the men in Auto. Until Sasuke came. It was all I could do to protect Kin. Then once Sasuke came, we were safe fully. There were many nights. I wondered if one of the other Sound 4 would come to hurt me, or worse. But they never did. They learned I was close to Sasuke and she would kill them if they tried. Nodding lightly, Naruto moved next to her as Sakura gasped at those words. Soon Naruto placed his hand on Tayuya's shoulder, watching the girl flinch. He shook his head. I understand, Tayuya-chan, and I give my word. Those nightmares will never come again. Konoha protects those who live in her walls. And I will destroy those who ever tried to harm one of my friends. Smiling lightly, Tayuya nodded as Naruto turned from her and saw the bathroom. He smiled and began towards it. He kicked off his sandals next to the door. He then quickly removed his pants, standing there in just his pale orange boxers, which barely left anything to the imagination. He then smirked as the girls blushed deeply as he then removed his boxers before any of them could move to stop him. The 4 girls got one hell of a view of him. He appeared to be 5 inches soft with a nice trimmed pale blonde hair adorning him. As he turned, not caring about his nakedness, he grinned at the girls. While I am stealing the bathroom for a shower, I will send out a clone for my clothes when I am done. See you guys in a bit. He then entered the bathroom and shut the door. As he did, the girls finally managed to take a breath. A red-faced Sasuke looked at Sakura, who was the same color of her hair. Sakura-chan, why did you never say he was that endowed? I didn't know Sasuke-chan. Shizune-san always gave him his physicals. Dear God, though. Now we know exactly what those orange clothes of his hide. Holy fuck. I have seen a few thanks to being in Orochimaru's. The guys would strip and then show off trying to catch a girl. But God, none look like that. Anyo. Tayuya-chan. Sasuke-chan. Sakura-chan. He gets bigger, don't he? At those words from Kin, the other girls turned a darker red color as they started to get small nosebleeds. At that point in time, Sakura started to plot. Nay. Sasuke-chan. The Kyuubi said show him love, right? Yeah, what are you getting at, Sakura-chan? Why don't we show him some physical love? Turning even redder, Sasuke smirked as she looked between the others and then chuckled. Fine. Let's take a vote. If we want to be with him. I learned already. His heart is big enough for a lot of people. I know I can't have him all. And he needs to keep his own clan alive. In case he is the last. At that, she took out a small set of papers and set them on the cot. Here's the rules. Write yes or no. If you wish to be with him. And then hand them back in. After all 4 of us write it down. We will see who says yes and no and then decide how we get him. At that, the 4 girls each took a strip of the paper. Swallowing hard, the girls each looked at the small pieces of paper they took and each pulled out a small pencil from their respective weapon pouches. A blush formed on each one of the girls as they began to write their decisions on the papers. Tayuya couldn't believe she was agreeing to this. As she wrote down her answer, she stared at the 3 letters that stared right back at her from her slip of paper. She looked up as the others began to write down their own responses. Her eyes locked on the light pink face of Kin. Kin looked up at Tayuya and lowered her eyes as she finished writing her response. She swallowed hard as she folded it up and waited. Soon enough, Sasuke looked up and held out her hand as Sakura, Kin and Tayuya placed the folded pieces of paper into her hand. She then smiled and placed the papers on the cot and then looked at the others. Well, we have all written down our responses. It is time to read them. Are we all ready? As she looked around, 3 heads nodded in agreement. She then took a breath and picked up the first strip of paper and smiled. She then opened it, recognizing Kin's handwriting. She then looked at Kin and held up the paper. We have a yes from Kin-chan. I am happy you are willing to try to love again, Kin. Blushing darkly, Kin lowered her head and then nodded meekly. Anyo. I voted yes, Sasu-chan. 'Cause I think he would treat me right and be kind to me. Smiling gently, Sasuke nodded and then chuckled lightly. He will kin. He has a heart of gold. It took me years to realize it. But even Sakura knows. He would never hurt anyone. He hates to see people in pain. He would die for anyone he considers his precious people. Kin let a small smile appear on her face. As she nodded happily, Sasuke picked up one of the other pieces of paper and again recognized Tayuya's handwriting. She went a bit wide-eyed. She expected Tayuya to be reluctant to want to trust or even attempt to love again after the death of the one man closest to her. She knew how much Tayuya cared for Kimimaro even though she rarely showed her emotions to him. She looked at Tayuya, her black eyes gentle. I am surprised, Tayuya-chan. I am beyond surprised. I didn't think you either would be willing to open yourself to love again. Tayuya tried to put on an angry face but failed miserably as she settled for just glaring lightly at Sasuke as she crossed her arms under her B-cup S. She was never one for mushy stuff. Hell, she was the foul mouth of the group. Fuck you, Sasuke. You act like I wouldn't be into guys. Laughing, Sasuke stood from the cot and moved over to her and put her lips next to her ear. You went to Kin and I for relief from the men in Orochimaru's lair. You swore off men, remember? Turning dark red as her hair, Tayuya lowered her face as she hugged herself. I did. Sasu-chan. I swore off men cause they hurt you. They will do nothing but hurt you. But I feel safe. He has such amazing eyes. They look so kind and gentle. I just want to be loved again. After Kimimaro changed, he never looked at me with love again. His eyes became cold. But the blonde shithead. His eyes are warm. They offer so much love in them. Stopping her words, Sasuke hugged Tayuya tightly as the older redhead started to break down. Tayuya-chan. It's alright. You need this. Let it out. And you're right. Naruto would never harm you. He is the kind of man would die before hurting you. His eyes are indeed gentle. And he would give love to you as well. He won't turn away your kin. You are our family now. He swore you would be protected by him. Tayuya nodded, tears coming down her face. As a gentle clapping could be heard, they spun around as they saw again a clone of Naruto standing there in a simple pair of pants. They tensed cause they could tell just from the air that hung around him it wasn't Naruto. Who the fuck are you? Tayuya pulled out her flute and gritted her teeth as the Naruto started to walk towards them. It was then they noticed his eyes. They were slitted in a deep crimson. Well said indeed. I was right to trust you with the kit. Freezing, Tayuya recognized the voice that echoed from this Naruto. Soon he held up his fingers into a cross shape. As red chakra started to swirl around him. Henge. In the poof of smoke, the four girls readied themselves and soon were not disappointed. There in all her glory except for a loose-fitting red kimono stood Naruto's female form. She smirked as she moved with a sway in her hips as she sat on a nearby cot. Tayuya had to admit this female form was drop-dead gorgeous. Who are you? This was uttered by Sakura as she observed the female Naruto. She had her kunai out and ready for action should this person be out to harm any of them. Soon though she started to feel the strong chakra signature and then she started to shiver. I am insulted. After all, I already spoke with you before, little cherry blossom. But I am Kyuubi. Or more importantly, right now, I am Naruko, as the little kid calls this form. She smiled sensually at the girls as she started to play with her left pigtail, her bright red eyes playful as she observed them closely. Kyuubi? Kin uttered, her body begun to shake at the fear they had done something to incur the demon lord's wrath. She moved back toward Tayuya and felt the hands of Tayuya, Sakura and Sasuke on her back in a reassuring manner. What do you want, oh great demon lord? Sasuke asked as her Sharingan blazed, observing the demon girl who seemed to be happily playing with her hair. She didn't know if she could trust this random intrusion from the fox. Soon though she had her answer. Do I really need a reason to visit my little kit's soon-to-be girlfriends? That caught the girls off guard. She just wanted to visit? That made no sense to the girls. Soon though she had stood up, allowing the kimono opening up, allowing the seal to be seen glowing lightly on her washboard stomach, and a pang of jealousy hit Sakura, Kin and Tayuya as they saw her come into view. She was a large C to small d in size. Sasuke had to admit it even hit her with a bit of jealousy seeing how endowed the Kyuubi was. My, do I sense jealousy? I never expected you girls to think your S were a measure of your character. You are all beautiful women. Do not allow petty things like size to cause you to fight. All S are is fat. At this the girls lowered their heads a bit until Sakura spoke up. Kyubi-san, if that is true, then why would Naruto-kun's Oiroke no Jutsu have such large S? Laughing lightly she moved closer to the girls where they could feel the excess body heat she was radiating and then leaned close to Sakura, her red eyes gentle as she looked into the emerald eyes of the young girl. Simple, my little cherry blossom. Naruto based this jutsu on my human form. Though I must admit, I like the twin tails he gave it. It makes it look cute. But he had to base this jutsu on my form. Though I must admit, it is thanks to me that he had a crush on you. My preteen form does look quite a lot like you did when you were younger. Turning a light pink, Sakura shook her head as she locked eyes again with the red-eyed girl. She then sighed lightly, before she bit her lip and then backed up a bit. Can you show me Kyubi-san? I want to see what made him fall in love with me. Smiling lightly, Kyubi backed up from the girls and then nodded before she brought her hands up in the familiar cross shape, a bright grin on her face. Of course, my little one. It has been a long time since I could show off. Be prepared, young ones. It will blow your mind. Soon there was a loud poof, and soon standing there was a young version of Naruto, her hair still up in the twin ponytails but the kimono hung from her shoulders. As she stood there, Sakura and Sasuke both gasped. She was right. This form looked like Sakura except with long blonde hair. She had next to no chest but she still had the glowing seal on her semi-chubby tummy. Dear Kami, Kyubi-san, Sasuke stared in awe, as a door opening could be heard as they all turned as one to see Naruto exiting the bathroom. He went wide-eyed, seeing a young version of his female form. What the hell? Wincing lightly, the little one turned and sighed. She knew this was coming. She expected the little blonde knucklehead would see this. It had to have happened. Soon enough. Naruto. I am what is inside your stomach. I am Kyubi no Kitsune. And well, since you have managed to reach the level of power you are at, I can put my power and mind in one of your clones. In essence, I am the Kyubi, just still connected to you. At that, Naruto nodded lightly and then proceeded to emulate Hinata perfectly. He smiled and then proceeded to pass out cold. Naruto. As Kyubi shouted, she and the other girls began to run towards him. This was gonna take some explaining. Soon though, Kyubi emulated one of the most laziest ninjas in the world. How troublesome. Slowly coming to Naruto was alerted to 5 voices. Now that was confusing. He could only remember there being 4 other people in this small little hiding spot. Is that normal for the blonde shithead to faint like that? There was Tayuya. He could already recognize her foul mouth. Actually, he does when he is confronted with things he can't fully comprehend. There was Sakura-chan's soft, gentle voice. But now he was a bit insulted. He fainted? And she sounded like she was saying something about his intelligence. Anyo, he seems like he is smart. Maybe he was just so stunned he didn't know what else to do. That voice. That was the brunette. That was Kin-chan. He could tell her soft voice and her semi-gentle demeanor. The Dobi was never one to faint. I only saw him do it this time. There was Sasuke-chan. She was still using that Dobi endearment. He got used to that. I am sorry. This is cause of me. I never expected the kid to react like this. At that voice his eyes snapped open and he shot up on the cot, staring straight at the owner of that sensual dark voice. His eyes wide as there sat in the normal form. His female form, the one he calls Naruto. The thing he recognized though is what made his blood run cold. Her eyes were a dark crimson and slitted. And on her stomach was the glowing seal of the Kyubi. How did you break the seal? Baan and Arrow Sennin are gonna kill me. I released the Kyubi no Yuko. Narrowing her red eyes, the twin-tailed blonde turned to face Naruto, her face showing anger as she stood. She now was wearing a very altered version of his outfit. A bright orange skirt, and a jacket ended right under her impressive S, allowing her seal to be seen. Her whisker marks were also darker. How rude. I told you. I am still in you. Baka Kit. How? You're standing right here. And why the hell are you in my female form? Narrowing her red eyes more, she grabbed the loud-mouthed blonde by his jacket and lifted him up with surprising strength. She then began to shake him. You insolent moron. I told you. Now that you are strong enough, I can put some of my power and my consciousness into one of your clones. And to answer the other one. 'Cause this is my body anyway. You modeled your perverted oiro no jutsu on my human form. At that she dropped the poor boy onto his rump as she glared at him. He started putting things together and it made sense a bit. Why the Kyuubi was starting to become protective of him. When he was young and developing the oiro no jutsu. He remembered quite a bit when he was sleeping. He would see a red-haired version of the form he started to model his jutsu after. He remembered often waking up as a little boy in her arms. And he remembered her crying while holding him countless times. You were always a girl. You have always been with me. You held me in my dreams, when I was beaten. And bleeding, and left to die. I remember you tears. Why Kyuubi-chan? Why do you care about me? Ain't I nothing but just your jailer? Wincing at those words from the blonde, the demon girl looked at him and her eyes softened at that question. She then turned to the other girls. Seeing them look at her, she sighed lightly and then turned back to look at the boy. In the beginning, yes, you were nothing more than my jailer. Then as the years went by, you became what I had lost. I asked these girls to be good to you. I could tell from their sense. They truly love you. But like I was saying, Kit, Orochimaru, stole from me what I once loved. It drove me crazy. I went feral. I attacked Konoha because it had his smell in it. That goddamn bastard killed my baby boy. He was just born. My chakra and energy were weak. And he killed him in front of me, saying he was sent by the village to prevent me from being able to have a family who was a danger. It hurt. Watching my child murdered, in front of my eyes. Then I was locked in you. And I was angry. I was furious. Then as I watched you grow, I noticed you were being punished and hurt for stuff you never did. I started to care for you. You became like my own child. I do not wish to see you harmed anymore because of my actions. Listening to her words, Naruto started to tear up. Someone considered him a son? And it was the being sealed into his stomach. But he had someone care about him the way he had wanted for years. It felt good. He started to cry lightly and he saw the shocked looks on the girls' faces as he stood and hugged the demon girl, earning an eep out of her. Q-ni-chan. I may not be able to say I am truly your child, but you telling me you care about me that way means a lot to me. You have helped me many times. When I fought against Orochimaru on that bridge, I felt your disgust of him. You let me beat him there. Then now, you're allowing me to have these girls care for me. Thank you, Q-ni-chan. Smiling, the demon girl hugged him back. She was honored to be called sister by him. Sure, it wasn't Ka-chan, but she knew that his real mother would be the hell out of her if she insisted on that. True, she knew of his parentage, but she couldn't tell him yet. She would inform them when they reached Konoha. Sadly, Kit, I must re-enter your stomach, but can you do me a favor? I am really tired of the horrid sewer. Can you please re-picture my cell? I would accept still being in a cage. Placing a finger on her lips, she went wide-eyed and Naruto closed his eyes and entered his mindscape. Standing in front of her cage, she gasped in the real world as she placed her hands on her stomach over the seal. As Naruto focused, and the sewer gave way to a wide prairie with a forest in the distance and a small cabin standing in the middle with the seal paper on the sky and on other areas in the prairie. He soon returned to the real world, panting lightly, opening his eyes to see a tearful Kyuubi's face. She hugged him. You remembered my old home. Thank you. I will be happier now. Please, while I can come into a clone's body for a day, I can only do it so often cause it cuts your chakra dramatically. Please, I will give the energies needed to the girls. Please, visit. I do not wish you to avoid me, Kit. I wish to be a friend. I do not want to be alone anymore. Smiling, Naruto looked at the others girls who all smiled and nodded. He then hugged Kyuubi tightly. Before grinning brightly, he nods. Oh, course, Q-ni-chan. I do not mind. Honestly, that sewer sucked. But this way you have a prairie to enjoy and you can relax there. And I do not mind you coming out in my clone. And taking my female form. Just warn me. Hell, seeing you standing here made me do a Hinata. Chuckling lightly, the demon girl nodded and then backed up as she placed her hands together in a hand seal. She smiled lightly before taking a deep breath. She smiled and then let out her chakra. See you guys later then. And Kit, treat them good, cause they do love you, Kai. As she uttered the release command, the female clone poofed out of existence and Naruto grunted from the influx of energy and memories. He soon smiled at the girls before he stretched and then grinned brightly. Well girls, I think we should get moving. That way Baon can beat the living hell out of me for doing what the Arrow Sennin has always wanted to do. Arching her red eyebrow, to Yuya moved over, grabbing her small bag as the others grabbed their stuff. She soon couldn't help herself and had to ask, "Hey shithead?" Turning to face her, Naruto had to admit he wasn't completely fond of the nickname, but he could deal with it. "What is it to Yuya-chan? What the hell do you mean you're gonna get your ass beaten? Why would this Baon you keep mentioning hurt you? Did you fuck her granddaughter?" Laughing hard now, Naruto couldn't help but continue to laugh hard. He soon got his laughing under control just as Yuya was about to lose her temper. He soon calmed down and smiled brightly. "Well, no, Yuya-chan, I didn't, as you said, fuck her granddaughter, but she is adamant that I don't become like Ero Sennin. In essence, I don't become a perv. But since I have 4 beautiful women now who seem to love me, and as Q-ni-chan said, girlfriends, she will think Ero Sennin did get me. And well, he will pummel me cause he doesn't have 4 women who love him." Laughing now, Yuya finally got it. She shook her head as she put her small bag over her shoulder and smiled as the other girls moved next to Naruto, as then left the small hiding area. Soon Sasuke set off a set of explosive tags, destroying the small place. She then turned and waiting to hear Naruto say the one phrase she had been waiting for. "Well guys, let's go home." At that the 5 took to the treetops, heading towards Konoha. It had been almost 6 hours since they took to the trees, heading back towards Konoha. Naruto was in the lead, his eyes alert and his eyes open as he leapt from tree to tree. He looked back, seeing Sasuke directly behind him, her longish blue-black hair fluttering wildly from the wind of their movements. "We did it! I still can't believe I was so blind in the fact Sasu-chan was female. I made new friends." His blue eyes moved over to Sakura, his heart felt so happy. He finally kept his promise. He got Sasuke back for them both. His eyes then moved to the brunette behind Sakura. His eyes went a bit wide-eyed. He had spent enough time with Ero Sennin to recognize when a girl seemed to like something. And if he would fancy a guess, it would bet Ryo on the facty that Ken. The brunette seemed to have appreciation in her eyes, and her eyes were directly locked onto Sakura's ass. He couldn't help but chuckle at that thought. His eyes then moved to the Teutonic redhead who took up their rearguard. He couldn't help but smile again. Sure, she had a very foul mouth. And if he had to guess, she probably could easily tear him apart with her insults. But in the same, she seemed to genuinely care about Sasuke and Ken. He couldn't help but respect that. However, his hand moved to his own stomach as he sighed gently. "Q-ni-chan." "Yes, Kit?" Going wide-eyed, hearing her voice in his head caused Naruto to almost miss landing on the branch he planned to land on. He quickly recovered his wits and then smiled mentally. "I forgot, since I changed your cage, you can interact with my mind now, Q-ni-chan." Laughing gently, the vixen couldn't help but smile as she sat on her small futon in front of a big TV, watching the scene through Naruto's eyes as they moved through the forest. "It is quite all right, Kit. I have decided to do something nice for you. While I learned your own jutsu, I managed to make some clones of myself and did some exploring. I found where our coils mixed together, Kit." Blinking in confusion, Naruto started to scratch his head. He didn't fully get it. "You learned Kage Bushin? Cool. But what do you mean where our coils mix?" Blinking her currently black eyes, Sasuke locked her vision on Naruto's back as they continued their journey. She couldn't place it. She could tell he was talking mentally. She badly wanted to know what he was talking about to the one inside him. She couldn't help but feel a bit jealous towards the fox demon. But she bit her tongue and continued to observe Naruto's outside reaction. "Yes, Kit, I did. The jutsu is quite useful. I am impressed with it, though it is nowhere near what we demons can do." Blinking again at her words, he couldn't help but chuckle mentally. He soon landed and sprung off of one of the few thinner branches around, cussing lightly as he watched the branch break from the force of his jump. "Okay, so you learned my jutsu. But it still doesn't explain what you mean about the coils." As Naruto asked that, he heard a minor squeak in his mind. He blinked as he heard a chorus of cussing and a few thumps. He had to hold a laugh as the Kyuubi started cussing at her bed. "Stupid fucking bed, I swear. Either my ass has gotten bigger in these last 15 years, or this bed is just fucking small. I think your ass is fine, Q-ni-chan." At those words, the Kyuubi blushed lightly. She still wasn't used to kindness. It had been quite some time since a human offered her kindness, let alone friendship. "Ari arigato, Naru-kun. But our coils. I mean the coils in which the chakra you use. I found where mine and yours are interlaced. It is quite amazing. It looks like a giant lake. Well, two in fact. A large lake of a sky blue chakra. I assume it is your own reserves and capacity. And then an enormous one that has bubbling red chakra. And I can tell you for a fact is my chakra. There is a few creeks if you will between both lakes. Where the two mix. I am almost positive it is where our coils combine, allowing my chakra to seep into your system. It is ingenious, I must say. Though that isn't the most intriguing Naruto. Blinking again as she explained, Naruto stopped and let the others land near him in a small clearing. He sent a small wave to Kyuubi, indication a small rest stop. She waiting to hear from him as he turned, and she smiled seeing the auras the girls gave off through her link to his eyes. They all had a pink aura indicating love. Some were deeper pink and some were a bit larger. The largest two of course were Sasuke's and Sakura's. But Kin's and Tayuya's were rapidly approaching the others. Kin's was close to Sakura's in color, but Tayuya's seemed to be closer to Sasuke's in size. "Nani? Naru-kun?" Sasuke asked, looked at him as they stopped in the clearing. He sheepishly smiled and rubbed the back of his head again, and the turned a small shade of pink, seeing Tayuya and Kin lightly walking in place. He knew he smelled it before. He sighed lightly. "Anyo. I don't want to be rude, but thanks to the alterations in Q-Nichan's cage, I got a bit more of an enhanced smell. And well, I can kinda smell the fact that Kin-chan and Tayuya-chan need to use the bathroom. I can also tell, well, that it is number one, so I figured I would be nice." Turning light pink at the words that he could tell by scent now that they needed the bathroom, let alone knowing they needed to pee, embarrassed both former Auto Nins lightly, but they realized quickly he was doing it not out of spite but genuine concern. "You lit shithead. Do you know how embarrassing it is for a girl to be told by a guy he knows they have to pee?" Tayuya glared lightly at Naruto, but her glare melted into relief as she then grabbed Ken and started towards the tree line. "I swear to God, you little blonde ass, if you peek on either of us, I will tear you off and feed it to you." Giggling lightly, both Sasuke and Sakura moved over to the trees to guard the other girls from Naruto. "Hey, I am not like Ero Sennin. That is disturbing to think that I would look at a girl when she was using the bathroom." Grumbling, Naruto turned and crossed his arms as Kin and Tayuya muttered behind the trees. He couldn't hear what they said, but from how Sasuke and Sakura acted, it was apologetic. He snorted lightly and took out a small map and started to look at it and take in the surroundings lightly and made a small mark on the map. "Alright, Q-Nichan, while I am working out how far we are. And thanks to my damn nose, I have both Kin-chan and Tayuya-chan embarrassed and probably mad at me. What did you find that was so intriguing about these supposed chakra lakes?" "That's the thing, Naru-kun. It seems that thanks to my influx of chakra into your coils, not only did it increase your sense of smell and your vision somewhat, but well, don't get mad at me for this, but you're kinda seeping pheromones." Blinking lightly from his work on the map, Naruto looked up from the map, staring towards the little lake that sat nearby. "Wait, I what?" Wincing lightly at his mental yell, Kyuubi thought about hiding under one of the blankets on her futon, but she bit the bullet and sighed and decided to explain. "What I mean, Naru-kun, is your body is producing a pheromone that is making the four girls more at ease and probably slightly, aroused. If it is any consolation, the girls aren't going to jump and rape you. They will just feel completely at ease and safe around you. It is mostly my fault. As a female demon, I release pheromones to ease the male demons and males around me into gentleness. Even though I am the nine-tailed lord of hell, I was hurt a lot by other demons. I may be all-powerful, Naru-kun, but even I am no match for an in-heat demon. It is the only defense I had, and it kinda became imbued into my body. And since I am in you, it affects your body to do the same. Please, don't be mad." Sighing gently as he made another mark on his map, Naruto smiled inwardly before taking out a small canteen and taking a deep drink. "No, Q-Nichan, I am not mad, just a bit unnerved. Are the villagers gonna say I truly am a demon?" Growling lightly in his head, Kyuubi formed a small plushie of the fourth Hokage and began to strangle it. "Damn those villagers to hell anyway. They better not claim you're me. I have had it with them tormenting you. I admit I made a mistake. I am far from perfect, but you should never have been punished for my actions all those years ago." Smiling gently at Kyuubi's antics in his mind, Naruto finished up on his map and sighed lightly internally. It's alright Kyuu-ni-chan. I know I have known for ages. I have the possibility to become something inhuman. You're partially right, Naru-kun. If I wanted to destroy your mind and indeed desired the destruction of this world, I would attempt to fuse my mind with yours, and then your body would then start to change into a form to be able to fully manage the chakra. Which, I will tell you now, I will never do that to you. I could alter your body now to undo damage that was done years ago. Make it easier for your chakra to flow. But I warn you, Naru-kun, you will look slightly different. Blinking at her words, she never was gonna fuse with him and torture him and make him to be a demon. It made his heart feel better knowing the Kyuubi would never harm him like that. And this offer, he could easily take it. But he had to know what changes would occur. Kyuu-ni-chan. What do you mean? I would love to have better chakra control. But what kind of changes are we talking about? I wouldn't grow tails or ears or anything like that, right? Laughing lightly at his questions about a tail and ears, she tried to mentally picture it. And couldn't help but giggle. He would look adorable that way, but she quickly got her giggling under control. No, nothing like that, Naru-kun. Though I must admit, if by chance you ever would partially merge with me, I think the girls in your life would end up getting a new hobby of petting your tails. And in my experiences, most females tend to start calling them your fluffy. But, I mean your whisker birthmarks, they would be darker. Your hair would get longer, but your eyes, or what would change the most? They would remain the beautiful blue you're so proud of. But, they would probably become slitted like mine. Nodding lightly to himself, Naruto stood from his crouch and looked back as Tayuya and Kin walked out from the trees. As Tayuya was finishing adjusting her own bike shorts and Kin was still fiddling with her pants. Kyuu-ni-chan. Do it. I need more strength. I have to protect them all. I will not allow anyone to harm them. I would rather die. Smiling gently, Kyuubi stood from her futon and grabbed a small cup of tea and sipped it lightly. Before sending the commands to her clones to begin the alterations to allow the chakra flow to become easier. You are very honorable, Naru-kun, and I will help as much as I can. The main alterations will begin as you guys rest. How much further to Konoha no Sato? He smiled as the girls stood at the ready for him as he decided to speak out loud so Kyuubi could hear as well. Well girls, if my map reading is right, given I have had to learn to read one thanks to Ero-sen always having me refind his perverted ass, we are about 6 hours outside of Konoha. We could easily make it, but I am gonna let you girls decide. Do you wish to take it slow? If we take it slow, it would take yous about 12 hours to get home. As the girls' eyes went wide, they realized while the blonde may be a knucklehead, the guy knew how to take charge and figure things out. However, something wasn't adding up. He was allowing them to decide. Sasuke decided to speak up. Naru-kun. I think I speak for all of us when I say we should get there quickly. I for one do not relish the thought of sleeping on the ground tonight in these woods. I don't think the snake pedophile would send anyone after us yet. But it is better to be safe than sorry. Nodding, the girls looked at Naruto. He smiled and then bit his thumb lightly and began to go through a set of hand seals before placing his hand on the ground. Kachiyose no Jutsu. As he shouted the technique, a small burst of smoke appeared as a small frog appeared waving to Naruto. Oi boss. Hey Gamasuchi. I need a favor. Sure boss. What's up? As the girl's sweat dropped at the interaction between Naruto and the bluish frog. Naruto pulled out a small scroll and quickly wrote something down on it before handing it to the small frog. Take this to Tsunade Ban. And please make sure she knows we are all safe. And that we need the Uchiha compound cleaned and ready for us to live in. I want to make sure we are safe. Reiterate to her that we need it. Sure boss. As the frog took the scroll and quickly sped off at almost completely insane speeds. Sasuke swallowed hard as she moved up and placed her hand on his shoulder. Nah Naru-kun. You want to live in my old compound? Smiling gently at the now seemingly scared girl, Naruto hugged her gently, which caused her to calm down lightly. Hi, Sasu-chan, we can make it a happy place again. And you can rebuild the Uchiha the way it should be. And we can all be safe. In the compound I can protect all of you. With Tsunade Ban's help no one could ever touch it. We will be safe for good. Relaxing lightly, Sasuke nodded as she smiled and then adjusted at rope belt. and looked at the other girls who smiled. "Let's go, Naru-kun. Our home awaits." Nodding, Naruto took off into the trees, chuckling as he could feel the small work Kyuubi was doing. His muscles hurt already as the coils began to adjust. He simply made himself believe it was from a hard day of training. He knew, however, soon he may be hurting from a fist to his face from Tsunade. He put down what was going on in the scroll and knew his adopted grandmother would have some select words for him. Time skipped 6 hours. As Naruto and the girls arrived outside of the massive gates of Konohagakure, the strongest hidden village in the world. Standing in the middle of the open gates, her arms crossed over her impressive chest, stood Senju Tsunade. Slug Sanin and strongest kunoichi in the world, and Godem Hokage of Konoha. Beside her stood the director of the Konoha Hospital and third best medic in Konoha, as well as adopted sister of Naruto, Shizune, her brown eyes soft as she and Tsunade observed Naruto and the 4 kunoichi slowly walk towards them. Soon Naruto was standing in front of Tsunade, his face pale. "Well, Gaki, what was that scroll about? I see you and Sakura succeeded in your mission to rescue the captured Uchiha Sasuke from Orochimaru. And I see the other 2 refuge kunoichi from Oto your scroll mentioned. Now tell me, why?" Lightly Naruto observed the woman who was like his grandmother, and then he looked towards the compounds of the clan section. "Anyo. Tsunade-sama, can we talk at the compound?" Gasping lightly, both Shizune and Tsunade shared a look. When Naruto addressed her as Sama, it was important and possibly bad for him. They both nodded and began to lead the 5 teens towards the Uchiha compound. Sasuke had to snort in disgust at the glares Naruto was still getting from the stupider villagers. She couldn't believe how blind she was to call Naruto a dobi, when the villagers were the stupidest out there. Soon though, she had to gasp as they entered the compound she called her home till she was 12. As they stopped at one of the gazebos, and Tsunade and Shizune sat down and casted a silencing jutsu around the gazebo and observed Naruto. "Well, Naruto, tell me." Tsunade's voice held no anger, just concern, as the girls took up flank around Naruto. They wanted to offer him support. Tsunade Baan. "I know now, fully what she is. Inside me. And I learned that Sasuke was always a girl. I don't know why. But please, allow us to use this compound. I can't lose them." Being taken back by his words, Tsunade narrowed her eyes lightly. As she looked at the girls, she could tell they cared. Had he bonded? She couldn't believe it. The boy managed to bond with these 4 women. AMD wanted to have the clan house, to rebuild clans. And what did he mean? He knows fully what she is. "Naruto, I have no qualms in that. I am a bit disturbed that you would do something along the lines of wish to invoke the Clan Restoration Act for you as Sasuke. But tell me what you mean by you know fully what she is." "What, who is?" Sighing lightly, Naruto raised his hands up in a cross form and said softly, "Kage Bushin no Jutsu." As the clone poofed into existence, Tsunade shivered lightly, as did Shizune from the feel of the aura from the clone. Soon though, the clone raised its own hands. Henge. As the clone spoke, another poof could be heard, and standing there now was a female Naruto with her altered form of Naruto's standard outfit. The short orange and black skirt and the tight orange and black jacket ending right below her large S. But what caught both Shizune and Tsunade off guard was the bright glowing seal on the female's stomach. "He means me, Tsunade-sama." Bowing lightly, Tsunade then fully recognized the chakra coming from the girl. "Dear Kami, Kyuubi." Tsunade turned white looking at Naruto. She was terrified. Relaxing lightly, Tsunade observed the red-eyed girl, who nodded and then bowed in respect to the blonde woman. "He speaks the truth, Godem. I am allied with Naruto-kun, as well as these 4 kunoichi. I pose no threat to anyone. I am simply able to put a small amount of my chakra and my mind inside a clone of Naruto for a bit to allow myself some small semblance of interaction with people. I simply am lonely in the seal. I wish to explain. I meant never to attack Konoha. I had just given birth 1 month prior to my rampage. It was a beautiful baby boy. I was happy. I was a mother after so many centuries. Then he came. The man you call Orochimaru. He slaughtered my baby. Right in front of my eyes. He wore the Hiteate of Konoha. I snapped. He left quickly, saying he was sent by Konoha to assure I would never have a family and never be happy. So I went on a rampage. I became feral. I tore off in the direction of his scent, which brought me to Konoha. I could smell the snakes, it reeked of them here. So I attacked. I decided, if Konoha damned my innocent baby, then I would damn the village to hell. Soon though, Yondaime sealed me inside this wonderful boy. I was spiteful at first, but I then became happy again. He became to me like my child. I watched him grow and tried to help him where I could. Soon though, when he got strong enough, I was able to enter his clones. I couldn't help but want to see him truly. Please, I beg of you Godem, don't punish Naruto for me. Taking a deep breath, Tsunade rubbed her temples as she observed the girl she had to fight back tears at the thought of having to watch your own child murdered in front of you. She then slammed her fist into the table, causing everyone to jump. Damn him. Damn that snake bastard. Not only did he attack you, he hurt all of us. Kyuubi-sama. You claim you now ally yourself with Konoha. Am I correct? Nodding lightly, the red-eyed girl observed the woman, who then stood and moved over to stand in front of the girl, easily standing over her. If you can promise you will protect our Gaki, I can accept you. As well as the refuges. If it is all right with you Kyuubi, you know of Naruto's heritage, do you not? Gasping lightly, Kyuubi nodded lightly, at which Naruto went wide-eyed. Ha hi, I do Godem. Then it is easy for me to fully accept you. Please, tell Naruto who his parents are. It is your right, given that even though I am his godmother, you have been with him for a while. Naruto started to cry lightly. He wasn't just an orphan? They knew who his parents were. Very well, Godem-sama. She took a deep breath and turned to Naruto, who was being held gently by Sakura and Sasuke. She was terrified. She knew Naruto would freak, but to stay she had to tell him. Naru-kun, what I am about to tell you is something I was sworn to never tell you until I was asked to by one of equal rank. Your father is the very man who sealed you within me. Konoha's Kiroi Senko, the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato, and your mother was the beautiful and deadly Uzumaki Kushina, Kunoichi of Uzugakure, known as Konoha's Red Death. Those two powerful and wonderful people were your parents, Naru-kun. As those words left Kyuubi's mouth, Naruto began to break down. He wasn't abandoned. He had parents who did care. His father was Konoha's greatest hero, and his mother was one of the most renowned kunoichi. He remembered hearing of both of them. He began to cry hard as he held onto Sasuke and Sakura. As the other two girls moved over to hold him, Kyuubi soon followed suit, gently hugging him as well. Gaki, do not hate me nor Sarutobi-sensei for keeping it from you. But your father asked us to hide you and protect you from the people who would use you cause of them. So we did what he asked. However, now, it shall be announced. I am tired of this SS-ranked secret. It has only hurt the one I consider my own grandchild. I will announce it today. You will be recognized as Minato's and Kushina's son, and I will see to it that this compound will be yours by tomorrow. Naruto nodded gently as he looked at Tsunade. Tsunade-ban, thank you. Smiling lightly, Tsunade shook her head. No Gaki, thank you. It is time these damn civilians are shown what for. They will be sorry. For now though, rest. I will see to it that Neko's Enbu squad will be here to watch over you all. She was a big ally to your father, and she is also aware who you are. So rest. You will all be safe, and stop tomorrow to get re-registered, Sasuke, as well as the other two. I will see to it that you will all become kunoichi of Konoha. With that, Tsunade began her trek to the Hokage Tower with Shizune in tow, waving lightly at the teens as they left. Naruto smiled and stood and began to head towards the biggest house. Anyo. Guys. Let's get some sleep. We will be having a big time soon. Nodding lightly, the girls followed him, entering the large house. Sitting at her desk with hard eyes as the two elders stood across from her, Tsunade glared hard at both Kaharu and Homura. Her fingers were crossed under her chin. The ICYNESS in the room could readily be felt by the two Anbu guards standing next to her. Why have you called for us, Tsunade-hime? As her eyebrow ticked at Kaharu's forwardness, a smirk appeared on her lips. That is Hokage-sama to you, Kaharu Dono, as well as you, Homura Dono. I have called you two here because a SS-class secret has finally been revealed to a shinobi of our village. One that should have been revealed years ago. The coldness of her voice was not lost on the two elder shinobi. They knew she was in no mood to deal with any excuses. They observed her as she spoke and soon Koharu spoke up again. Hokage-sama. You speak of Naruto-kun, do you not? At her soft voice Tsunade blinked and was caught off guard. She was not raving. And she knew it was about Naruto. That caught her off guard. Hi, that is exactly what this is about. Koharu Dono. He has learned of his heritage, as well as having met and conversed with the Kyuubi no Yoko. She narrowed her eyes towards the two elders as Homura lowered his head and Koharu just nodded and then sat down in one of the nearby seats. She sighed softly. It would do you well to look underneath Tsunade Heim. We elders harbor no ill will towards Minato's son. We in fact see him as a hero like his father wished. We also honored Sarutobi-san's wish. Tsunade Heim. He asked us to help hide the boy. I do not blame your anger. But you forget, we never once were like the others of the council. Nodding lightly, Tsunade took out a small bottle and poured herself a drink, downing it quickly. She then leveled her gaze again towards Koharu and then sighed. You are saying you recognize him as Minato's son? As well as Kushina's? Hi, I am Tsunade Heim. Both Homura-san and I recognize Naruto-san as the heir of the Yondaime. Nodding gently, Tsunade sighed and then took out a scroll and unsealed it as she downed another cup of sake. She then stamped it and looked at the two of them. If you see him as such, you will need to sign this. It is officially recognizing Uzumaki Naruto as the son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, as well as officially granting him the Uchiha compound as a home. He has completed his mission and brought back Uchiha Sasuke as well as two other kunoichi from Oto as refuges. Nodding, Homura stood and quickly signed the paper, stamping it himself as Koharu stands and follows likewise. She smiles towards Tsunade and nods. Tsunade Heim, I will have my personal guard. Who are loyal to Minato's views guard them as well. I assume both the Namikaze heir as well as the Uchiha heiress have enacted the clan restoration law? At Tsunade's nod and groan, Koharu let a small laugh leave her mouth. My, well to be young. I wish them luck. And Tsunade Heim, do not fear, we do indeed back you. So if you need Homura and I to do something, we will. Nodding towards them, she watched as the two elders left her office. She leaned back into her chair and sighed again. One thing was out of the way, the other needed to be handled soon, which would be easy now. She knew she had the backing of the elders. She sighed and stood up. It was 9 a.m., meaning the Gaki and his little girls would be up. She grabbed the scroll and began her trek back to the Uzumaki compound. Groaning lightly as consciousness invaded his mind. Opening his eyes slowly, Naruto looked around. He wasn't used to feeling warmth from other bodies. He actually liked this feeling. He looked down to his chest to find an interesting mix of azure and pink as Sasuke and Sakura were sharing his chest as a pillow. A gentle smile crossed his face and he gently brushed a lock of hair out of each of their faces. His nose was soon assaulted by the smell of breakfast. He craned his neck and had to suppress a chuckle. Standing there was Tayuya in a long night shirt and an apron with a giant musical note. She seemed to be in the process of cooking. Anyo, Tayuya-chan? I didn't expect to see you in an apron. Jumping lightly, the Teutonic red head turned and glared at him. How could she not tell he had woken up? She had prided herself on being able to tell almost everything about her surroundings. Narrowing her eyes, she moved over toward Naruto and huffed at him. You act like I wouldn't be able to cook, you little blonde shit. Going wide-eyed at her apparent anger, Naruto began to shake his head wildly to hopefully avoid a beating. No, nothing like that, Tayuya-chan. I am just stunned by how cute you look in just a nightshirt and an apron. Her cheeks reddened at those words. She then narrowed her eyes. Turning white, Naruto soon was praying she wouldn't stomp on his head. He had no escape right now and he soon looked at Tayuya, his eyes scared. No, you look cute all the time. You just look more cuter right now is all, Tayuya-chan. She was fully caught off guard by that and she turned redder as she glared at him. Soon a hearty laugh could be heard from the door as Tayuya turned quickly, getting into a fighting stance and accidentally giving Naruto a quick glimpse of her bright red tie-side panties. Oi, are you having fun tormenting the Gaki? Relaxing lightly as Sakura and Sasuke roused from their sleep to look towards the laughter and quickly snapped to attention, seeing Tsunade standing in the door frame with a smile on her face and a scroll in her hand. Tsunade Shisho. Chuckling, she waved off her apprentice's worried voice. She moved over to Naruto and smiled gently. She then handed him the scroll. A puzzled look crossed his face as he took it. Well, Naruto, it is official. You are now the owner of the Uchiha compound. Officially recognized now as the Uzumaki compound. As well, as you are now seen as Minato's and Kushina's son. It has been handled, and if the council gives any hassle, we have the backing of the elders, which will make up for it. Smiling, Naruto began to tear up lightly and nodded gently. He soon stood and hugged Tsunade tightly. Arigato. Tsunade Obachan, I can protect them now. Smiling, she hugged him back and then began to gently rub his back. You're welcome, Naruto. You will now get what you have always deserved. Now, I have also went and registered Sasuke back in as a kunoichi of Konoha. As well as registering both Tayuya and Kin. They will have to stop by the hospital though. So they can all get a physical by Shizune. Before they can be active. But I am also placing them all under Kakashi. Team Kakashi will now consist of Haruno Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, Tayuya, and Tsuchi Kin. He already has given his approval of the new additions. So stay strong, Naruto. Smiling, she then turned and began to walk out waving behind her. Also, you might want to go shopping. And get some clothes to identify you as Konoha ninja again. Smiling, they all nodded as Kin finally poked her out of the small shower room. Okay, Anyo, Tsunade-sama, is it okay if we still use the techniques we have? Blinking and turning to see the partially wet and naked Kin, Tsunade couldn't help but shake her head. Hi, you can, Kin. Just make them work with Konoha. Smiling and nodding, she then moved back into the small shower and shut the door again fully. Soon though, Tsunade was gone and then Naruto breathed a small sigh of relief. But he then soon shut her. Great. Shopping with 4 girls. Hell now had officially damned Naruto. Groaning to himself, Naruto drug his feet behind the girls. He still felt the glares, but for some reason they were not as malevolent as they used to be. It seems Tsunade Baan was right. The announcement of his heritage this morning had indeed seemed to make the people realize the error of their ways. He still though hated the fact being that some still glared with outright contempt. He soon looked up and paled lightly. The girls were in front of Kunoichi's secret. And he knew right then and there this was going to end badly. Anyo, girls? Why are you looking at going into an underwear store? Giggling at his embarrassing question, Kin decided to field the answer to that question. She smiled sweetly towards Naruto. Well, Naruto-kun, we need to change our clothing. We are tired of wearing the icky stuff from Orochimaru's lairs. I still only have the underwear he provided us. They are. Let's just say they're not the best things, right, Tayu-chan? Chuckling lightly, the redhead nodded and then sighed lightly and pulled her biker shorts out some and looked down her own pants and cringed at the sight of the small little red tie-side panties with a musical note on the crotch. Hi, you're right, Kin-chan. I need to get these things changed. I am no longer one of the hubby pedo's little puppets. I am not wearing anything associated with him anymore. She then smiled and put her arm around Sasuke and smirked towards the pinkhead, wrapping an arm around her as well. Besides, I already know that Kin and Sasuke and I are all naturals. And as Naruto, with that show in the little hideout, it is time for me to find out if Pinky here is natural. Turning the same color of her hair, Sakura quickly shoved Tayuya lightly and glared at her. Mo, Tayuya-san, that isn't something you say around here. Sakura quickly looked around, seeing that some of the civilians were blushing and chuckling softly at Tayuya's outburst. She then started pushing her towards the door. Let's just get in here and get you guys some new clothing. Chuckling, Tayuya let herself be pushed as Sasuke followed behind them, with Kin grabbing Naruto's hand and dragging him into the store. He could only echo one of his best friends in his mind. How troublesome. No wonder Shikamaru always hides from Ino and Tamari. As he entered the store, his eyes were assaulted by all matter of underwear on various mannequins. Thongs, tie-sides, bikini cut, you name it, they had them on display. But you could also tell every one of them were designed for Kunoichi. They all had chain mesh seemingly sewed into them. Sighing lightly to himself, Naruto sat down on one of the many benches and watched as the girls giggled and pulled out various different underwear. He blushed deeply when he caught Sakura holding up what looked to be a strapless bra, holding it to her chest and looking expectantly towards Sasuke, who smiled and nodded to the pinkhead, who quickly put it into a small basket she had grabbed. Naruto still didn't know how he got himself into this. He then sighed and meeked when he heard the girls call him. Ha. He moved over to the girls, his face still tinged a light pink. A small grin graced his lips as he stood in front of the girls. They all smirked towards him, and then Sakura grabbed him by his jacket and dragged him towards the changing rooms as the girls followed behind. Ga, Sakura-chan, what are you doing? Ga, he grunted as he was tossed into one of the benches again as Sakura smirked towards him and looked at the others. Well girls, let's give our Naruto a nice show and let him see what we picked out. Smirking, the other girls nodded and chuckled as they began to choose their changing rooms. Soon though, Sasuke looked back and then giggled lightly as Tayuya gave her a thumbs up. Let's show him, Sasu-chan. Exactly what we kunoichi have to flaunt. You got it, Tayuya-chan. Gulping audibly, Naruto sat and watched the curtains of the dressing rooms, and he tried to fight back the blush burning his face. He knew Ero Sennin was probably laughing his ass off and cursing him at the same time for this predicament. Though Naruto knew he should consider himself lucky. 4 women. It seemed like after years and years of horrible treatment and a life of a lot of pain. Somehow Kami-sama decided to finally give him something. You really shouldn't be so glum, Naru-kun. Going wide-eyed, hearing Q-chan's voice in his head again. He smiled gently and chuckled mentally. He then smiled. It isn't that I am glum, Q-ne-chan. I just don't know how I got this gift. Gift? Oh, you mean the girls? Why are you questioning this, Naru-kun? It is just… well, Q-ne-chan. I have always been hated, despised, and tormented. But now, I have 4 girls who seem to love me. It is so new to me. I am afraid I am not worthy of them. I am not worthy of any of it. Naru-kun, listen carefully to me. These girls see you for what you are. They see your heart. They feel your gentleness and feel your love. They know the beautiful soul you have. They wish to be bathed in the love and warmth that is your heart. I envy them, Naru-kun. They found what they want, and seem to have agreed to share you. Q-ne-chan, you're right. I am sorry. I just think I don't deserve them is all. Ask yourself that after this little show, Naru-kun. 'Cause here they come with round 1. Giggling, Kyuubi retired to the recesses of her small cabin, observing Naruto's reactions as the girls started to open the curtains to show off. As Naruto looked towards them, his mouth ran dry. Sakura stood there wearing a muted light pink set of a strapless bra that barely covered her large A's and a pink thong that hugged tightly to her, showing off a very noticeable crease in the crotch. But what really caught his attention was the small thong had his trademark swirl pattern where a bow usually would be. Swallowing hard, Naruto turned a deep shade of pink until he turned his eyes to where Sasuke was standing. His eyes tripled in size. There stood Sasuke in a dark orange with black lace bra. And a pair of tie-side dark orange panties with the black lace design on them as well. He had to swallow hard as his face began to turn an even darker shade of red. His eyes then moved down again and his throat went dry. Standing there was the Teutonic red head. Tayuya in her glory. She strangely had chosen a black bra that seemed to have a spider web design on it, with a small spider in the middle of cups. Her panties seemed to also have the same spider web pattern on them. However, she did a quick spin and Naruto made a small sound, seeing what he thought were standard panties were actually a T-back thong, and Naruto caught one hell of a view of a nice ass. He then moved his eyes down a bit further and his eyes almost bugged out of his head. Standing there smiling serenely was Kin. She seemed to have chosen a powder blue strapless bra that had small little bell designs all over it, with a bell in between her S making a small dinging sound. She then shifted on her feet and her powder blue panties seemed to make the same dinging sound. They were a standard pair of panties that had the simple bell on the front of them. Smirking, Sakura leans forward, kissing her large A's to be pressed together, giving her a nice shot of cleavage. Well, Naruto, what do you think of our new underwear? Her answer was Naruto fainting as he developed a nosebleed. They soon all squeaked and ran to his side and started to shake him lightly. Yelling out in frustration, a pale-skinned man slammed his fist into the arm of his throne. His throne was an immaculate ornate chair, with a large white snake head above it and a pair of snakes for the arms. The cushions were a deep red. However, the man sitting on the chair was as pale as death. His yellow reptilian eyes were furious as he heard the report from one of his low-level spies. She had gone back to them. He stood from the chair and took a deep breath before spitting out the Kusanagi no Ken, impaling the spy through the heart. A soft chuckling could be heard as the Mons gurgles and starts to spit up blood as he fell to the side dead. Turning his yellow eyes towards the chuckling standing there in his purple outfit was Yakushi Kabuto. Orochimaru-sama, you shouldn't have killed him. He did report what we needed to know. Where Sasuke-chan has gone. It is a bit unnerving that she returned to Konoha. However, Orochimaru-sama, we now have them all where we want them. Also, it seems that she is indeed truly fond of the Uzumaki. Growling lightly, the pale man moved over to where the corpse lay and smirked, pulling the blade out of the body. Sliding the sword back into his mouth, allowing it to retreat to the recesses of his body. He then turned towards Kabuto and lightly placed his hand on the young Mon's face. Matilda. It is alright Kabuto-kun, prepare. We attack Konoha tonight. I will not allow Sasuke-chan to leave me. Her body will be mine. Smirking lightly, Kabuto nodded and then moved over to where a young man and woman seemed to be bound. It seems we will need you two's bodies after all. Naruto-kun and Sasuke-chan will never be able to fight us when we arrive. He started to laugh insanely as he sealed away the two bound people and placed the scroll in his pouch. He then fell into step behind Orochimaru, smirking darkly. They soon took off. It needed to be done now, before Sasuke was fully lost back to Konoha. Back at Konoha, groaning lightly, Naruto and his clones dropped the last of the packages. He couldn't believe it. He woke up from his fainting seeing the girls in still their newly chosen lingerie. It took him the better part of 10 minutes to get his blushing under control. Since the girls seemed to decide the fact that they wanted to wear their new underwear. They soon purchased the ideas, and Naruto had the horror or honor, depends on your point of view, of carrying the dreaded Kunoichi's secret bags. Though that horror died quickly when they found one thing that they all liked. The equipment and armor store. Soon Naruto had 4 of his infamous clones carrying a wide variety of bags ranging from Nuzanban needles for Kin and a new set of armored shirts and pants for her. To Tayuya's new battle dressed complete with the Konoha symbol where the yin-yang used to be on her old one. Sasuke's new outfit didn't change much except for the white shirt becoming a dark blue and her spandex shorts being replaced with a new set of dark blue ones with wrappings on her legs. Sakura simply picked up some more bags for her medical supplies and a new pair of leather gloves. Nay Tilda, are we done? Groaning again, he sat down on one of the many chairs in their new home. Watching as the girls quickly retrieved their respective bags from where he placed them and quickly each chose one of the rooms around the large living room. Ever since he received the Uzumaki compound, the girls had chosen their own respective rooms. He sighed as he sat there waiting for the girls to come back out. Tayuya was the first back out of her room. Are you still bitching, Blondie? I wish you wouldn't call me that, Tayu-chan. Grinning brightly, she moved over and bopped him on the head, before leaning against a nearby wall watching him rub his head gently. Cheer up, it fits you. Besides, I prefer to use nicknames. If I don't use a nickname you will then know I am mad. Chuckling, a new voice joined them. She's right, Naruto. Ever since I met Tayuya, she has always had a nickname for everyone. Turning to regard the brunette, the redhead grinned brightly and pointed towards her. Yeah, you're Sasu-chan. Or if I am pissed. You are blue-haired bimbo. Narrowing her coal-black eyes towards Tayuya, Sasuke shook her head and moved over next to them, watching as Kin and Sakura exited their respective rooms. Soon though, a carrier pigeon flew through the window and landed on one of the perches in the room. Moving over to it, Kin took the small note from its leg. She opened it and started to read it before she turned pale, dropping the note. Naruto blinked and stood, moving over to her. He then picked up the note. He then froze. Naruto? The pinkette inquired as she placed her hands on Kin's shoulders, causing the girl to jump. She blinked and seeing the note, her blood ran cold. Sasuke felt the change in them. She then turned towards them. She started to feel like the air was changing. What does it say? Sakura? Naruto? Swallowing hard, Naruto turned to face Sasuke and Tayuya and began to read the note aloud. Naruto, get the girls ready. We received word from one of our scouts. He is coming, both of them. Last report received. Orochimaru and Yakushi Kabuto spotted on way to Konoha. Report immediately to the Hokage office. Signed, Senju Tsunade Godem Hokage. Hearing those words, the other two girls felt their blood ice over. He was coming already? That monster couldn't leave them alone. He was inbound to them and they were requested to the Hokage office. Swallowing hard, Sasuke regained her composure quickly. She then looked at the others, grabbing her sword and sliding it behind her back. She then looked at Naruto. Let's go. It is time to end this. I won't allow him to destroy my new family. Soon as she said that, a low growling could be heard as a red aura began to leak around Naruto. The girls quickly jumped back from him as he raised his eyes to look at them. His cerulean blues were now a menacing red and slitted. A dark voice soon bellowed from him as Kyuubi made her presence known. That Hubby bastard. I will kill him. He dares to threaten my home. My family. I will tear that supposed immortal soul of his from his body and devour it. He will die by my hand. Roaring loudly, the girls now knew Naruto had checked out, and standing there in his body was the demoness herself. Her emotions were flowing freely. They knew she wouldn't harm them, but the killing intent coming from her were immense. She soon calmed lightly and Naruto seemed to regain control. His eyes returned to their normal cerulean shade as he grabbed his kunai pouch. He then looked over his shoulder. Let's go. It would be rude to keep the Hubby Teme waiting. He soon took off the girls behind him. Something seemed to have changed in him. He was leaking a large amount of killing intent, was something none of them had ever truly felt from the boy. He was intent of killing the snake, and would be damned if anyone would get in his way. They soon arrived at the Hokage office. Standing in front of the buxom woman, her honey brown eyes observed the four girls and the man who touched their lives. She could feel the change in him. She then nodded. So, you know he is coming. It can be safely assumed he is coming from Sasuke, Kin and Tayuya. I was going to recommend that the three of you hide and be protected by the Anbu, but I know that is a foolhardy request. Seeing the three girls nod, she sighed and took out a scroll. She then placed it in front of her within Naruto's reach. She then leaned back, letting him pick it up. The mission is simple, Naruto. Search and destroy, kill him. I am hereby ordering the new team Kakashi to intercept and kill both Orochimaru and Kabuto. The four of you will go and will be led by Sakura. She is a Chunin and will suffice to be the leader of the mission. Do you understand your orders? She narrowed her honey brown eyes towards the girls and Naruto. He then pocketed the scroll and nodded. His blue eyes cold and hard for the first time since she met him when he was nothing more than a snot-nosed brat. Hi. Tsunade Ba-chan. Team Kakashi is to intercept and kill the two traitors of Konohagakure. Request permission to use any means necessary to ensure their death. Looking at him, she knew what he was asking. He wanted to use the one who swore allegiance to him. He wanted to use the Kyuubi no Yoko. She sighed and took out a sake bottle. She felt horrible for saying this. She quickly took a swig of the bottle. Naruto. Use everything in your arsenal. Remove him from this plane of existence. He is to be destroyed completely. Nodding, Naruto turned then to the girls and looked at them. They all nodded and he looked over his shoulder towards Tsunade. She choked up a little bit. She could barely believe her eyes. He looked just like Minato. She then stood from her chair and hugged him from over her desk. Please, Naruto, come home safe. Bring them all home safe. I will. Tsunade Ba-chan. The only ones who will die are Orochimaru Teme and Kabuto Teme. Nodding against him, she then pushed back from him. Taking a deep breath, her eyes hardened a little bit. She then threw her arm to the side. Commence mission. As those words left her mouth, the five teens took off in a blur, heading towards where the snake and his crony were spotted. As they entered the forests and began to head towards them, the girls couldn't help but feel a dramatic change in his persona. He was now in a true shinobi mode. They felt completely safe now with him. They continued their trek. In under an hour, they soon had to quickly drop to the ground, dodging a set of shuriken. As they landed, they were greeted with the very people they were sent to deal with. Standing there in all their monstrous glory stood the snake Sanin and his right-hand man. Coo. Well. Looks like our little runaway flies came back to the honey. This will make our jobs simpler, won't it, Kabuto-kun? Smirking lightly and gently pushing his glasses up his nose, the medic looked over at the teens and grinned psychotically. Hi. They did, Orochimaru-sama. Perhaps they simply realized that soiling themselves with Naruto-kun is worse than working with us. At those words, Tayuya lost her calm. You fucking four-eyed cunt. How dare you fucking say that? Raising his hand, Naruto looked at Tayuya and she quickly quieted down. He then looked towards the two beings standing there. You came for them, Hubby Teme? Raising his eyebrow at those words, the pale man started to chuckle before losing it completely and laughing outright. Ku. My Naruto-kun, those words hurt. I thought you would thank me, after all. It was thanks to me that Sasu-chan learned all her little tongue tricks. To emphasize his meaning, he let his own tongue leave his mouth and begin to sway lightly in front of him before letting it slide back into his mouth. Sasuke turned a light pink and glared at him before deciding to speak. You sick bastard. You never once touched me. If you had, I would have killed myself. You only taught me jutsu. I should cut that damn tongue of yours out and shove it up your ass. Going a bit wide-eyed, Kabuto couldn't help but laugh at the venom in Sasuke's voice. He soon looked at Orochimaru before coughing lightly. Orochimaru-sama. It looks like this is a bit unfair. They are 5 and we are 2. They have the strength of numbers. Why don't we even out the odds a little bit? Smirking lightly, Orochimaru nodded lightly before laughing lightly. He then gently reached over and traced Kabuto's cheek. A wonderful idea, Kabuto-kun. Let us give Sasuke-chan and Naruto-kun as well as Sakura-san a real homecoming gift. An old friend of theirs. After all, your job was so wonderfully done. I think they will be happy for this. Going wide-eyed at those words, the three of them looked at each other before getting into a stance with Kin and Tayuya. As Orochimaru began to laugh darkly, raising his hands to the skies after biting his thumbs. Time for a homecoming you will never forget. Kachiyose. Edo Tensai. Slamming his hands onto the ground, 2 coffins began to rise from the ground, causing the teens to go wide-eyed. As the coffins reached their full height, Orochimaru began to laugh even harder. As the teens tensed, the coffin lids fell away and 3 pairs of eyes tripled in size. As stepping out of the coffin stood 2 of the very ninjas that had caused Naruto and Sasuke to fall for each other. The ones who caused them to form their nindo. Momochi Zabuza and Haku. No. Orochimaru. Sasuke screamed as she looked at the 2. She remembered the battle with these 2 before. The demon of the mist and his female companion, the one who led Naruto to believe she had died in his hands. They were dead. They were at peace. This was screamed by Naruto as he watched the 2 of them step out of the coffins and smiled sadly towards them. Yo, Gaki. It has been quite a while. I didn't think I would see you till you lived your life. Naruto-san. Sasuke-san. Sakura-san. I wish we didn't have to meet again like this. Soon 3 of the 5 teens were beginning to shake uncontrollably as Orochimaru stepped forward and placed a Fuda tag on both of them. You should be happy. You will die now by the very people who helped you forge a love and nindo. At that, Zabuza pulled his blade from his back as Haku donned her mask, pulling out some of her senbon. They soon moved to stand parallel to the teens. Now, let's begin this fight. At those words, Haku and Zabuza rushed towards the teens. As Zabuza and Haku rushed towards the teens, history began to repeat itself. Sasuke intercepted Haku, clashing with her using her sword against her senbon as the bits of dust seemed to fall off of her. Her body began to fully recover as she began to chuckle softly. Sasuke-san. Last time, I did not use the full extent of my power. This time, will be drastically different. She soon began to go through a set of one-handed seals. As Zabuza's sword met with Sakura's kunai, grunting from the force of the impact, Sakura couldn't believe how strong he was. She watched as he also began to fully regenerate. Her feet began to dig into the ground as she started to push back against him. Shanuru. She shoved with all of her might, causing Zabuza to jump back from them, landing behind Haku. He soon placed his sword onto his back and got into a strange stance soon, though Sakura recognized it. She started to realize this could end badly. Kirigakure number jutsu. As that was shouted by Zabuza, Kabuto made his move, rushing toward Naruto, but before he could reach him he was soon intercepted by Kin and Tayuya. Smirking as they had grabbed his arms and planted their knees into his stomach, causing him to wheeze as he was soon tossed into a nearby tree. The 2 girls soon gave each other a high five and smirked as they jumped over to where Kabuto landed. He glared up at them, his hands started to glow lightly. As he stood up and smirked at them. You died today, Kabuto. Kin shouted as she pulled out her own senbon, her eyes hard as she locked her eyes with the medic. My, it seems the little whores decided to strike back. Am I gonna have to reduce both of you to whimpering masses again? You remember my tests. I had you both moaning and screaming. Glaring as soon pulling her flute out, the redhead locked her vision with the white-haired man. Experiments? That was all but rape, you sick fucking bastard. You die by our hands today. Soon, though, walking through the mists created by Zabuza, Orochimaru soon stood a few short feet from Naruto, his hand up to his lips, lightly licking his finger. As his reptilian eyes observed the young Jinchuriki, a soft chuckle soon escaped his lips as he then spoke. Ma tilde. Naruto-kun, are you angry? Why though? I gave you Sasuke-chan's wonderful new abilities. She can extend her tongue. Imagine it, Naruto-kun. The pleasure she can give you. Thanks to me. Growling, Naruto glared at the pale man, his eyes slowly darkening, his posture changing as he started to hunch over. His hands began to pop and crack as he flexed his hands, his nails beginning to elongate. Shut up, hubby Teme. Going a bit wide-eyed, Orochimaru recognized this. He knew what was happening. He dealt with this rage and power before, though it hurt a lot last time. This time he thought he had a chance against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Sensatsu Suisho. A shout was now heard over to the left of the battlefield as Haku finished her hand seals and leaped back, allowing the thousands of needles to hit into where Sasuke was standing. Though Haku had to hold back a gasp as Sasuke leaped forward, slashing and destroying a few of the needles, she soon rolled and came up in a slashing motion, nicking Haku's mask, causing her to stumble back and growl lightly. Sasuke-san. You yet again managed to catch me off guard, but this time. She quickly went through a few sets of hand seals and prepared a jutsu Sasuke was not ready to deal with. Hyeten. Ufubukiden. Haku soon released a bunch of fist-sized ice balls impacting into her chest and body. She tumbled back. She knew she was gonna have bruised from that. And damn did it hurt. She soon stood and narrowed her eyes towards Haku. Impressive, Haku-san. But sadly I am only going to keep you busy till Orochimaru and Kabuto are dead. So come at me with your best. Nodding lightly, Haku brought her hands up and began to go through a set of hand seals as an aura of icy blue chakra began to surround her as the sound of ice cracking began to be heard. Sakura soon slammed into the ground as she barely managed to block another slash from Zabuza's sword. She groaned in pain as she stood up. She hated the fact she could barely see. She wanted to help Naruto and the others, but right now she had to deal with Zabuza. She soon had an idea. She looked around. Zabuza-san, did you ever wonder before Orochimaru took away your thoughts, just what I went through? Let me show you. Shanuru. She slammed her fist hard into the ground. As she did, the ground began to shatter and spike up, causing Zabuza to lose his concentration. As he fell, he growled and soon had to block a punch from her as her fist slammed into his blade, causing him to slide back. Found you, Zabuza-san. A few yards away, Kabuto was dodging. He never expected this. Both of the girls were giving him no chance to strike back against them. He was struggling to even block them, with the dokis striking at him and Kin's rapid strikes against him. He was barely able to dodge one of the dokis' swings but was unable to dodge Kin's devastating kick, which sent him flying over, landing in front of Orochimaru, who went a bit wide-eyed. This was certainly not going how he expected. He soon was jolted into realization as the red chakra started to seep out around Naruto. Hubby Teme. You revived the people who helped me forge my Nindo, as well as you used them to start fighting with Sasuke and the others. No more. He soon roared as the chakra started to bubble around him as tails began to form. Soon 3 tails swayed behind Naruto as Sakura began to feel the pressure increase. She looked over from where she was standing to see the strange glow in the mist. She knew something was happening and had to cover her ears as Naruto let loose a roar, causing the mist to disappear from the area. As Zabuza turned to look as well, his glazed-over eyes becoming semi-curious as Sasuke quickly jumped away from Haku and landed behind Naruto. She knew he was beginning to lose control. Ma tilde. What power, and from such an interesting child. Kabuto. You're beginning to fail me. Gasping and standing up, Kabuto began to shake lightly as he turned and began to rush towards Naruto, who roared and grabbed his arm. The distinct sound of bones snapping could be heard as his grip began to tighten as his slitted crimson eyes narrowed towards him. Kabuto smirked towards him. You fell for it, Naruto-kun. Naruto went wide-eyed as Orochimaru rushed past him and slammed his fist into Sasuke's stomach, his tongue extend and lightly licking her cheek. He then twisted his fist and turned, slamming her into one of the ice mirrors Haku was forming. her hands coming out to hold the blue net in place. "You lost Naruto-kun, she is mine now." At those words the last thread of sanity Naruto was holding onto snapped. He smirked in his subconscious. As standing in front of him was Kyuubi in her fox from growling towards him. Let me take control Naru-kun. He will die. He will pay for hurting her. He will pay for it all. Nodding, Naruto closed his eyes and felt the chakra invade his body as Kabuto was soon hurled towards the snake Sannin, impacting the pale man and knocking him back from Sasuke. She opened her eyes and shuddered as the skin peeled off of Naruto's body. As 2 more tails grew from his back, he fell to the ground growling in pain as a strange orb of red and black formed around him. She started to shiver, and not just from the ice she was being held against. She felt the pure murderous intent coming from the orb, and soon her fears were confirmed as a loud roar was heard. The orb exploded in a massive shock wave, causing the mirrors Haku had formed to shatter, and Zabuza to be slammed against a tree, which Sakura quickly reacted and used the set of ninja wire she had to bind him to the tree before she turned her eyes to what the other 4 girls were looking at. Standing in the middle of the new shockwave crater stood no longer Naruto, but Naruto surrounded by the 5-tailed cloak. "Oh, Naruto, you really are going all out," she whispered sadly as she watched him seem to sniff the air and then growl, quickly launching himself out of the crater and landing in front of Orochimaru and Kabuto. He quickly smacked Kabuto out of the way, causing him to slam into the tree next to Sakura, coughing up blood. It looks like we bit off more than we can chew. Sadly, I won't be around to see this." He smirked up towards Sakura as he reached into his pocket and produced what looked to be Orochimaru's hand and some other items in a jar. "I will surpass Orochimaru-sama. And Naruto. And you bitches. You all will die. But, since Orochimaru-sama is going to more than likely die here, why don't I help you guys out and make both Zabuza and Haku released?" He then smirked and snapped his finger, causing the 2 tags on Zabuza and Haku to burst into flames, causing the 2 of them to gasp as they looked around. Zabuza's eyes seemingly cleared as he looked at Sakura. "Well, looks like we lost. Till later, Sakura." At that, Kabuto disappeared in a large puff of smoke as Sakura looked towards Zabuza. He nodded lightly. "It has been a while, Sakura. Sorry for our actions. With those tags gone, we won't last long once Orochimaru is dead. But it was good to see how much the Gaki grew." She smiled sadly towards Zabuza and then released the ninja wire binding him. He gently rubbed his arms and looked towards where Naruto was sitting, growling at Orochimaru. "He dies. A fitting death." Sakura nodded as Naruto slammed his clawed hand into Orochimaru's face, casing him to slam hard into the trees nearby, coughing up blood. As he looked up in fear at the 5-tailed form, he expected 4 tails, but facing down 5 tails never occurred to him. It also occurred to him that this would be his last day of immortality, as Naruto growled out in a demonic voice. "Beg, you worthless hubby. Beg for the life you have. You die by my hand. Just like when you killed my child. I kill you. You claim you're immortal? I wonder what your soul thinks. Your soul will be devoured by me. You die now." Orochimaru could only barely scream as his throat was grabbed tightly by Naruto as he began to squeeze tightly. He couldn't believe it. His life ends by the hand of a possessed boy. A person over 40 years his junior. He realized the irony as he watched the chakra begin to form a giant head of a fox. It roared lightly as he began to feel his soul being pulled out of him. As the fox head opened its gaping maw, it soon bit down, causing Orochimaru to try and scream. As his soul was torn from his body, the glowing blue of his soul being destroyed and devoured by the fox head. It then began to charge a large ball of energy in its mouth. As Naruto threw the now lifeless body of the snake Sannin into the air, the blast was released, completely obliterating the body. Then the worst thing could happen. Naruto turned his glowing red eyes towards the girls and growled lightly. "Shit, guys, get back." He is still enraged. Sakura shouted that as the girls all jumped back, as Haku quickly moved to stand next to Zabuza, as they both started to feel the tainted chakra that brought them back to life begin to leave their bodies. Soon though, they had to gasp as Naruto leaped into the air and landed with a loud boom in front of the group. Soon in Kyuubi's voice he spoke. "Momochi Zabuza. And Momochi Haku. You both were brought back to life against your wishes. As the Lord of Hell, I can make your souls attach perfectly to the bodies you're in. I can give you life again. The only condition I have is you ally yourselves with Konoha and protect Naruto and these girls. Do you agree? Soon both Zabuza and Haku looked at each other and Haku removed her mask, letting her tears be seen. She looked again to Zabuza, who was also crying. He soon answered for them both. We turned down that offer once. We will not be that foolish again. Yes. We take that condition. Thank you, Kyuubi-sama. Blinking in surprise, the girls couldn't help but smile. The Kyuubi seemed to be a big softie. They then stood apart as the head of chakra formed again and released a gentle purplish chakra from its mouth, hitting the two of them. As soon as it hit them, they felt the change again in their bodies. They felt the energy return to their bodies and they felt the renewed vigor of life enter them. Soon though they smiled and hugged each other but had to gasp as the head disappeared. And watched as the menacing chakra began to recede into Naruto's body. Soon as the tails and chakra vanished, Sakura ran over to Naruto and began to heal him. She knew when he stopped using the chakra his body would be horribly injured. She smiled though. It was gonna be interesting explaining to Naruto why Zabuza and Haku were still alive when he woke up. As Sakura continued to work on the blonde, she couldn't help but smile. They won, but it was at one hell of a cost. Her diagnosis jutsu was showing just how much the five-tailed cloak damaged of Naruto's body. His muscles were torn, his skin was almost all burned off, and there was acute stress around his heart. She was sweating hard as she began her work. She watched as Naruto groaned in pain as the muscles began to knit and his skin began to heal. Damn, Naruto. You always know how to worry us. She smiled as she continued her work as Zabuza and Haku stood nearby talking with Sasuke and the others. So all three of you Gakis grew up nicely, I see. Sasuke. Zabuza smirked under his mask towards the brunette who glowered at him and punched him in the arm hard. Urasai. It isn't like we had a choice, Zabuza-san. We were 12 when we fought you before. That was 4 years ago. Chuckling as Zabuza was punched, Haku just shook her head. She had managed to let her hair down and had seemingly relaxed a little bit. She was still on edge as she observed the others. She did not remember the redhead or the brunette. She moved towards them. Anyo. I do not believe we have ever met before. Tayuya and Kin jumped a bit. They weren't sure of this girl either, but it seemed she was one of the ones who helped make Sasuke as well as Naruto into who they were today. Oi, Frosty, I am Tayuya. And this is Kin. As those words left Tayuya's mouth, Haku couldn't help but blush at that nickname. She assumed it fit and decided against speaking up against his. Even as Sasuke and Zabuza chuckled at the nickname. Ah, I see. I am Haku. Former Oinin of Kirigakure. Kiri? Damn, that is a far-ass way away. Kin and I were from Otto. But that fucking pedophilic snake sucker gave us all the creeps. And we hightailed it out of there with Sasuke. And we are now Konoha Nin. Blinking lightly, Zabuza and Haku were unsure of that area. They soon shared a look and Haku spoke again. Anyo, Otto? Where is that exactly? And is that where that man that brought Zabuza-san and I back from? Yeah, that is where he was from. In fact, he was the leader of the village. Orochimaru, Snake Sanin, former nin of Konoha, formed it. He originally wanted to use the village to destroy Konoha, and we almost succeeded. Me and Kin were chosen by Sasuke to be her other teammates when Konoha was attacked. So we survived the assault. And well, after that, Pinky and Shithead ended up coming after Sasu-chan. And Sasu-chan decided to recast her allegiance with Konoha and got us all immunity with Konoha. And now, we are all one giant team. Blinking at Tayuya's explanation, Haku and Zabuza nodded as Sasuke shook her head. And Sakura simply growled at hers and Naruto's nicknames. You realize, Tayuya, it is not necessary to use those nicknames with Naruto and I. Panting as she quickly downs a soldier pill, Sasuke went wide-eyed and moved over to Sakura and placed her hands on the pinkette's shoulders and squeezed gently. She looked over at Naruto, who seemed to have gotten semi-better. His skin was regenerating and it seemed the bleeding stopped and his face didn't look like he was in any pain. Is he alright, Sakura? Hi. He is stabilizing. But Kyuubi-sama's chakra tears his body apart. Every single time he uses it, he is maimed by it. I know. Kyuubi-sama does not wish to hurt showed this when she gives him what he needs. But both of them were so irate, they didn't care. And now he is hurt. She lets a few tears drip from her eyes as she continued to heal his wounds. I know Sakura. He did it because if he didn't, Orochimaru would have gotten us all. And Kami knows what that sick bastard would have done to us. Nodding lightly, Sakura continued her healing of Naruto as Sasuke stood behind her. Zabuza looked at them and shook his head. He was willing to risk that much injury to destroy that snake bastard. Gaki's got spunk. Chuckling, Zabuza sighed lightly and then looked at the three girls near him. Oh, this was gonna be good. Kami have mercy on his soul when their bodies synchronize cause their periods won't. Then again the Gaki would have to deal with it more. Haku soon turned to look at Zabuza. Zabuza-san, what do we do now? He smiled and placed his hand on her hair and rubbed it lightly. Before sighing lightly, given that we were both dead for 4 years, Haku, we start a new life. We go to Konoha. At those words, Tayuya and Kin moved towards the others, allowing Zabuza and Haku to follow. What is the time on the Gaki's healing? Sakura looked up, his eyes gentle as she observed Zabuza. She then looked down as the last bits of skin healed on his face and she slumped lightly. She then looked up again and smiled. It is done, Zabuza. He will be awake shortly. You should know of quick healing. Damn, am I gonna need a shower when I get home. She slowly stands and wobbles before falling backwards, landing against Sasuke's chest, panting lightly as Sasuke reacted, quickly catching her. Her arms resting lightly under Sakura's s. A small blush forming on the pinkette's face. Go Gomen, Sasuke-chan. It's alright, Sakura. You used a lot of your chakra. Smiling gently, Sasuke slid down holding Sakura and watched Naruto breathing gently as the rest joined them. Zabuza and Haku taking a seat near Sakura and Sasuke. Soon though they were awarded with a groan as Naruto's crystalline blue eyes opened and he sat up, rubbing his head. OWWWW. It feels like I took a hit from Tsunade-ba-chan. Chuckling, Zabuza shook his head. No, Gaki. You took a smack from your own power. As well as a fight with a demonic snake. Going wide-eyed, Naruto quickly turned and locked eyes with Zabuza and Haku. Zabuza. Haku. You're still alive? At this point Naruto's brain was going into overdrive. I can explain, Gaki. Kyuubi-sama allowed our souls to merge perfectly with these bodies. And Avenue given us a second chance of life. We decided to take that chance. And would like to take you guys up on a 4-year-old offer. We would like to come to Konoha. Blinking soon, Naruto starting to rub his temples as he sat and began to ponder and think. He then sighed lightly, before looking up at Zabuza and Haku. Well, I do believe you can easily become members of Konoha. You would probably have to stay with us. We have a large compound. But the thing is, you too would have to join our family. In order to be fully protected against any issues you may have. Blinking in surprise at his show of intelligence. Zabuza started chuckling as Haku blushed a little bit. She was impressed by his quick analysis of the situation. It was bringing back feelings she had started to feel when she met him all those years ago. Well, if that is the case, Gaki, I am fine with it. It will give Haku and I a place to call our own again. We haven't had a home for a long time. I don't mind it, just a warning, I am not a morning person. Chuckling, Naruto stood and smiled before kneeling down his back to Sakura. Come on, Sakura. I will piggyback you back to Konoha. Your chakra is exhausted. And I can tell you healed me. Even Tsunade-chan says so. Blushing, Sakura gently moved from Sasuke's arms and climbed onto Naruto's back as the other girls smiled and stood. And watched as Zabuza and Haku stood as well. Let's get back home, girls. We need to show Haku and Zabuza around. With that, Naruto launched into the trees with the others right behind him. He knew this was gonna partially bite him in the ass. He also knew arriving at Konoha and explaining to Tsunade-ba-chan that Haku and Zabuza were dead and are alive again was gonna be a headache. He was not looking forward to this. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.